Yeah, so it wasn't any advertising or anything. The customers voted, and I finished number 1.
I love it. Napa Valley Contractor of the Year. Rick, the things you specialize in, it's things that people need, and you take it from beginning to end. Let's go through the list.
We specialize in kitchens and baths. That's our main source. We do whole home remodels, brand new homes. We do ADUs. We do all your construction needs. Anything you need, just give us a call.
And the phone number is 707-332-7575. And, of course, on the web, it's Rick Robben, ROBBEN, constructionnapa.com. Rick, great to have you back with us. I look forward to a great season with you.
So it's going to be great. Give us a call and talk to Tammy. If you like our quote, we'll take you down to our showroom. We'll pick out all your material and look forward to work with everybody.
Fans, the things I love about Rick, he does all the work. That's for me. Fans, I'm coming up to the Bay Area to see some Giants baseball. It also means I'm going to see Sonny from A&H Transportation. A&H Transportation, the East Bay's finest, serving the Bay Area since 2007. If you need to be picked up at the airport, it's 24/7. Taken to the airport, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. Whether it's wine tours, concerts, game events, medical appointments, Sonny and A&H Transportation will take care of you just as family would. Give them a call, 925-200-2824. You can check them out on the web, ah4limo.com. Email them, ah4limo at ah4limo.net. Sonny, I'll see you soon.
Seam heads. Our Giants game day coverage begins now.
It's the mosaic.
So before gloves start popping,
Diving, he makes the catch!
and bats start cracking,
It is gone!
we bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for the past 29 years.
As I always say, baseball reflects what life is all about.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie.
That's what we do. We talk ball.
On KNBR, the sports leader.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Talking Baseball on this Sunday morning. And what a beginning
to this 2025 baseball season. It's been, what a week of baseball. First of all, we had Original Joe's. We had Mardi Gras at Original Joe's on Thursday night, and 125 people there, and enjoyed a great dinner, great spirit. As we had our 8th annual Mardi Gras. Sandra G with me this morning. Sandra, you were at Mardi Gras.
Good morning. I was at Mardi Gras. And hey, so was the mayor. It was an awesome evening over at Original Joe's in North Beach, and Mardi Gras does not get better than kicking off opening weekend here in San Francisco with Mardi Gras.
No, let us right into Friday's game. And of course, the Giants come back about 6 times in that game. And you got to win games like that. We'll talk to the professor about it in a little while. But you got to win games like that, and Adames flips the ball into right field. Fitzgerald, nothing was going to stop him. He was going to run to the Via. I think there's no way he was going to stop on that, and scored the winning run. So a lot of things going on. And then, of course, last night, before 40,000 here, the Giants beat Seattle again 4-1. They've won 6 straight. Their record is 7-1. They're just a game behind the Dodgers, who are 9-1 now. Dodgers won yesterday over the Phillies. San Diego's lost a couple in a row to the Cubs. They're 7-2 now. And this is getting to be a very, very interesting beginning of the season for the San Francisco Giants. So we've got a big day today. Jordan Hicks goes to the mound today, and Brian Wu for Seattle. Of course, he's a kid from Alameda. It is Little League Day at the park today. Alameda Little League is 400 people from the Alameda Little League are coming today. So we want to say hello to everybody there. But we've got a great show for you. The professor's going to be with us and talk about this ball club and the way they played in spring training and the way they're playing now. And this is pretty exciting here. I know it's a long way to go, as we always say to Flan. You don't worry about baseball until the peaches are on the trees. So you don't worry yet. But if you have to play 8 games, you might as well win 7 of them. How about that? So that's the way we'll look at it. All right, beautiful day at the park. It is baseball coming up. We'll be back with the professor right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Fans Gene Bagato checked in from the Tides up in Bodega Bay, and he reports that with the beginning of spring, things are looking pretty good on the Sonoma coast. At the Tides Wharf, the freshest seafood available is being offered for guests to enjoy either in the restaurant or in the fish market to take home. Up at the inn, large, comfortable rooms with great views await, as well as the Bayview dining room featuring the special creations of the great chef Rennie Madrid. And with Easter coming on April 20th, special menus are being planned at both the Tides Wharf restaurant and the inn's Bayview restaurant as well. So if you're looking for a great getaway, think no further than the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay. Hey, it's Marty, and I'm here to tell you that it's time to discover the islands, and of course that means River Islands. They're celebrating 10 years of bringing the good life to Bay Area homebuyers. What's more, Del Webb, one of America's best-known builders for active adults in the 55 and over crowd, has just opened 3 neighborhoods at River Islands. They're building a huge community center on its own lake, all for buyers looking for a great lifestyle and a little less maintenance. I like that. Homes are priced from the 600,000s. Start your tour online at riverislands.com. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? It sure is for me.
Time now to go to Sunday school with the professor.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you?
Giants coach Ron Wotus with Marty Laurie.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
On your home of Giants baseball.
Good answer. Like the way you think.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Brought to you by River Islands, one of the country's top-selling master plan communities just across the Altamont in Lathrop. Where else can you live on a lake next door to a park or walking distance to your kid's new school? With 10 new neighborhoods, River Islands is the one place you can't afford to miss.
All right, great to have you back with us on this beautiful Sunday morning at the ballpark here. Get ready for Giants and the Mariners. We've got our contest going today. Don't forget, guess the score of the game.
Win dinner for two at Original Joe's in North Beach, Westlake, or West Portal. But a very special part that we're going to be adding to the contest which we're doing today. There's going to be a new Original Joe's in Walnut Creek.
It's fabulous. Wait until you see this. It is just fabulous. It's going to open late May, early June, or late May. And if you guess the score of the game today, not only can you win Original Joe's in North Beach and that whole group, but Walnut Creek as well. So this is going to be pretty exciting. The professor joins us. Well, beautiful day out, and of course you and I think about River Islands on a day like this. You know, you're walking into the ballpark with the rutabaga and the hot dog rolls, and makes me think of the trails at River Islands.
It sure does. And you mentioned Original Joe's. That's over in my neck of the nave in Walnut Creek. Yeah. 3-2 Giants today, by the way. I don't know if I can enter the contest. No, River Islands, just a short jaunt from the Bay Area. The trails are the best, obviously. There's so many good things over there. We've talked about it many, many times, but really looking forward to getting out there this summer and getting in that kayak with you, Marty.
Good luck.
Okay.
No, I would do it. All right. Now, 7-1.
Yeah.
You know, and look, you and I have been doing this show since 2010, and this is the best start we've had. You got to go back to 2003 to see the team get off to 7-1.
You're right. That was a year that we went to the World Series the year before, and Felipe came in, and we had the big cat, Marquise Grissom, Edgardo Alfonso at third base. Rich Aurelia, I believe, was still there, and it was a good group. But to your point, this team right here, the beauty of what's happening now is we played so well in the spring, and to carry that over now really does a lot for your obviously your confidence, and more so for your expectation. You know, you don't come in, you don't labor, Sandra, right off the bat. You play well, and now your expectation rises every day. You want to win every game, and, winning breeds winning. So it's great to get off to this start.
Go ahead, Sandra.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Giants were the champions of spring training, right? And everyone says, oh, well, it's just spring training. But there is something to be excited about. But to see the Giants then come off to 6 road games and win all those road games and have now guaranteed 3 series wins to start off the season, that's impressive. And I think there is excitement that should be shared around the ballpark.
I agree with you. It's not easy to win on the road and to start the season on the East Coast, basically, or Cincinnati, obviously, and then over to Houston, to have such a good road trip and then to come home and do what they're doing. It was a tough opening day here, obviously. Game went back and forth, but they found the way to win that game. And so far it's been good, and they're playing good baseball. I mean, 8 games is just one game that, the opening game, they didn't play as clean as they have, but they're playing good baseball, and that's what we're looking for.
Well, we've done these shows for a long time, and I've watched baseball for a long time. If you pitch and catch the ball, you can win. If you don't pitch and catch the ball, you'll never win. And they are doing both of those things well. And I want to talk about the defense because, they roll the double plays. The pitcher's best friend, they're rolling them out there. And last night we had a play with the Adames and Fitzgerald where the runner came in. It looked like the old days, taking Fitzgerald out. But they're making the double plays. Robbie Ray gets in trouble. Webb gets in trouble. They roll that 4-6-3. And that, to me, is huge, is the defense, the way they're playing defense. I think, if I'm right, only 1 error, I think, the whole year, something
that's
like
correct.
that.
Yeah.
So what about the defense, Will?
Well, first of all, if you look at the infield, I mean, basically, when Schmidt plays first base, he's learning to play first base. You basically have 4 shortstops on the diamond, right? So that's pretty darn good. Well, defense is important to, the organization. Again, it's important to Bob Melvin. Christian Koss made the team out of the spring. We haven't got to see him play a lot. He's a very, very good defender. And it's important to Matt Williams, obviously, the infield coach, and the whole group. So, we've always won here, 10, 12, 14, other years in the playoffs, pitching and defense. And, this park used to be a tougher hitter's park than it is now because they did move the fences in. But the point is that you're making, pitching and defense is still the way to go. And now we're getting the boys to situational hit. They're hitting with runners in scoring position, which, I think a lot has to do with the hitting approach, not trying to go for the all or nothing, move the guy over, get him in, two-strike approach, shorten up, put the ball in play. So it's been really, really good so far, and we'll see how it continues.
Yeah, well, with runners in scoring position, the Giants right now, they're second in all of Major League Baseball with 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Wow. They're batting .353, guys.
You win a lot of games. You win a lot of games when you do that. Now, that's just not that easy to do, say, in spring training. Okay, we're going to be really good with runners in scoring position. Everybody wants that all the time. Yeah. But right now, they're in a good groove.
Yeah, it makes it happen. We were talking about Willie Adames at short. And Mike Krukow had a great line the other day, and Sandra had it this morning. What was it, Sandra?
Oh, yeah, it was Kype. He said Adames, he looks like the centerpiece of a pinball machine. He was just getting chewed up out there. He felt like he was never going to get a routine ground ball. But what can you say about that, Wo, and how the field was playing? Was it a little bit hard? I was talking to some of the guys, said it maybe because of all the festivities beforehand that the dirt kind of dried up a little bit. But to stay at it and to not kind of drop your head and hang it like Adames did, and finally he was like, thank goodness I finally got one when it did come around. But speak to the infield there a little bit, Wo.
Well, you're right, Sandra. I mean, San Francisco is one of the toughest places to keep the moisture on the field because of sun and wind. You don't know what you're going to get, talking to our great groundskeeper, Greg Elliott. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of festivities on the field. But having said that, it probably got dried out a little bit. It was a long game, right? And they were hitting some shots at him. And 3 of those balls that he had, you either make the play or you don't. And he's got some wicked in-between hops, and that's the way it goes sometimes. But to your point, he comes back, gets the winning hit in the 11th inning. Mm-hmm. There's no quitting him. And you're going to have days like that where it's just a rough day out there. And he didn't have an error. So we're not real concerned about what he can do at shortstop. He's going to be a great player for us.
Yeah, well, what do you do on a ball like that? I mean, you played short, and I'm sure Mike Schmidt, when you played in the early 80s, there were some pretty serious hitters in the National League. What do you do? They used to say, get the married men off the infield.
That's right.
when the ball would be hit like that.
That's right. Well, I'll tell you, at shortstop, most of the time you have the ability to react, drop step or come in. It's tough when the balls are hit, over 100 miles an hour and they're sinking.
Okay.
Because you don't know where it's going to hit the ground, so if you see it hit hard. And a lot of times, if you get your feet going right away, you can take a long drop step and get a better hop than an in-between hop. But when they're hit that hard and the ball's sinking, you can't always tell where the ball is going to hit the ground the first time. So, that's where your feet are so important. And it's even tougher at third base when you're playing in, right? And McGuire and these guys hit a rocket at you. My goodness, it's not a fun place to be. So, as I said, you're going to get balls like that are in between. You don't get the read on it that you want, and it's do or die. Now, with the field being a little tougher, the bounce comes up a little different than if it was a little bit softer.
There was a play last night. I kind of liked it. Fitzgerald turned the double play. Adames came in and made the throw to second. It was a heck of a play. But the runner was on him. It was on Fitzgerald. It was like the old days. It's like Hal McRae knocking Willie Randolph into left field. He good slide right at the back, but he came right on Fitzgerald.
Yeah, he could have killed him. I mean, like you said, back in the old days, he wouldn't have stayed on his feet. He would have been on the ground. Slow roller to shortstop. Willie comes in, has to throw sidearm to second base, which is a tough feed when you're real close like that, Sandra. I mean, when they whip it there, you got to make sure you catch the ball. The throw was up the first base line. That's the one can really hurt the infielders. Just like when the catcher throws a ball and it leaks towards first base and you have to go into the runner. Well, on a double play years ago, you're getting knocked down. You're not staying on your feet. But Fitzy made a nice play. He caught it. He brought it back. We didn't turn the double play. The runner was too quick. But we're fortunate that, the rule is a little bit different now.
Well, he's got to get out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, the runner still could slide into him.
Yeah.
He could still slide into him. But the thing that I love is the number one you learn as a second baseman, you have to hang in there to turn the double play. You can't run away from the runner, right? Okay. So hold your ground, turn the double play, and then fall on the runner if you have to. Sometimes you try to avoid him. If you can get the ball in and out of your glove and on the way, you can just fall, opposed to trying to get out of the way and your leg is planted on the ground, and that's where you get hurt.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. Good stuff from the professor on a Sunday morning. Very good. It's been exciting, really exciting baseball. Of course, when you win, it's good. Close games. The bullpen's been going great. But there are two guys for me, and probably three. I'll put Ramos in there as well. But this Jung Lee, well, and the fans, first of all, are into it. And he's delivering. He scored 9 runs already. I think if I got my numbers right, in 8 games, he scored 9 runs.
Wow.
And he steals bases. He plays a nice center field. And then the other one is Chapman. I'll tell you, I've watched a lot of baseball in my time. And, Brooks Robinson and Billy Cox, you could pull out the names.
You saw a game or two, haven't you, Marty?
Greg Nettles. I mean, I've seen it. I'm telling you. Eddie Matthews. This Matt Chapman at third base, well, he is something else. He's something else.
He really is. Look, you hear the names, the guys you used to watch, and Brooks Robinson and Craig Nettles and, Mike Schmidt, players like that. But, in this era, watching Arenado and Machado were probably 2 of the best. And being able to hit ground balls at Chapman and watch him day in and day out, you really appreciate what he can do. For me, he's the best third baseman I've ever seen. He can do everything. And one thing that separates him, and the other guys have good arms, et cetera, and all, they catch the ball. But he closes on a ball better than anybody, a swinging bunt. And he plays deeper than all those guys. He's almost on the outfield grass. If they didn't have the rule, he might play in left field the way he does it. But and you mentioned Jay Lee. He's going to be an exciting player, and I believe he's going to be one of the most popular players here because he brings that energy. He's going to have a big fan club. He's a good player.
Well, he does. It's the Jung crew, ladies and gentlemen. They're out there in the section in the bleachers now. They got the T-shirts going, and what could be more exciting? Every time he's coming up, they've got the Jung Lee chants. So not only is he really improving stuff on the field, but the energy in the ballpark too and in the stands is fantastic surrounding Jung Lee.
Yeah, and he steals bases, he runs, and Russ Stanley loves it.
Oh,
yeah.
Of course he does.
He showed me the list of the tickets they sold in the Jung Lee section out there. Russ loves this.
Well, we all saw it coming. He brings personality. He brings, a different demographic to the ballpark. He has the crew out there in center field. And let's hope he stays healthy. He missed a lot of baseball. He's chomping at the bit to have a good year after signing over here and missing most of the year. So we're lucky to have him.
Yeah, he went the other way with a hit last night, and he hit one in Cincinnati, I think, down the left field line as well. But last night he wanted to go the other way, and he knocked it through the 5.5 hole, the Tony Gwynn spot. Yeah. And that, to me, I said, wow, if he can start doing that, now you got, because he does hit a lot of balls on the ground. And if he can put it through the left side, which he did last night, I like that.
Yeah, again, I think 2-strike approaches, take what the pitcher's giving you, not trying to drive the ball out of the park on most every swing. He has great bat-to-ball skills. He can do that. So to see these guys take the ball the other way, it's like Ramos yesterday, right? Ramos, he moved the runner, man on second base. He hit a ground ball to the right side. He was trying to do it. So these things are going to make us much better.
Well, they're running. And it made me think about it. I mean, you got to go back to 1960. And Bruce Jenkins and I will talk about this because we're the only ones alive who can remember this stuff.
That's right.
But, Willie Kirkland and Willie Mays and Don Blasingame, names before you were born. But, that 1960 Giants team stole bases like this. But it made me think of this. The way the game is played today, you don't have teams running like crazy. Giants are running like crazy, in my opinion. They're running every chance they get. I'm not sure the other teams know how to defend that.
Well, I think one thing that has been lost in the game is, since the pitchers in the National League, they don't hit. They don't, have to run the bases. They don't work on bunting. And, quite frankly, they want to hold runners, but they're throwing so hard today. It's all about making their pitch. And it always has been for a pitcher. But I think, years ago, pitchers were more in tune to the base stealers. I think at some point, someone threw over, 16 times on Vince Coleman one time. And then the one time the pitcher went home, he stole the base anyways. So the game has changed in that regard. And what's really changed it is the 2 throwovers. They only have 2 throwers. How do you stop some guy? If you have any analytics at all, if a guy throws over one time and it's 1-0, I mean the odds are so much in your favor if you can just take off, and you're seeing a lot of that. They're just guessing. They're playing the counts, obviously, and they're going. And the other thing is the video. We were looking at VHS tapes to see what the other pitchers were doing. Rewind it, look for this. Now there's so much video. You get so many tips on the pitcher. What are they doing before they go home? How are they holding it? But where do they set? All that stuff gives everybody a huge advantage in picking the pitcher apart and knowing his tendencies, and it helps you steal bases.
But why do they go in the first move? We're seeing a lot of pickoffs here. Why the first move?
Well, against the lefty, years ago, most lefties had big kicks, right? Before Roger Craig came in and he introduced the slide step or the quick step, pitchers would lift their leg and a base stealer would read him, whether he's coming the first or going to home. That's pretty much gone today. Because they have the clock, right? Roger started this. How quick is he to home? How is the catcher throw? And they do the math on it. So now with the limited throwovers, as I said, if a lefty throws over once, the odds are way. If he throws over twice, he can't throw over unless he picks you off. So there's hardly any risk to taking advantage of these things and just going first move. The risk is gone. Years ago, a guy could throw over 3 or 4 times in a row. You wouldn't take the chance.
Yeah, boy, interesting, because the game has changed that way. I mean, they're running like crazy, and they're going to run, and still the other team can't defend it. So
yeah, well, you got the speed. I was talking to Fitzgerald on Friday night after he stole second, and that proved to be the winning run. And they're finding the gaps, like we're saying, with Adames getting that hit. But it's exciting baseball to watch because you don't want to take your eyes off the game for a second because something could happen.
Yeah, I think that's true. We're a lot more athletic, which is something everybody's been screaming for too in the Bay Area, right? Athletic players. So it's been really good. I mean, opening day, the energy, the ceremony, bringing everybody back. It feels really, really good. And I think the players are playing very good, so we're in a good place right now.
Yeah, very good. And we'll see. The Reds are coming in. Hunter Green, well, I'm sure we'll see him again, and Lodolo and that crowd. Reds finally scored some runs. They had gone 35 innings without scoring a run.
Wow.
The Reds. And then all of a sudden they broke loose against the Brewers for 10. So that's the way baseball goes. But I think Tuesday night, I could be wrong, but the new Connect jerseys, the new uniforms are coming out. Mm-hmm. Now, you never know what you're going to see, but I think we're going to get new stuff on Tuesday.
Well, I haven't seen them yet, but I've heard, these jerseys, they're no schmata. These things are decent. We're not going to have the cloud, the fog. I think there's some purple in it. Sandra, I don't know if you've seen it. Has anybody seen the uniform yet?
Sandra, I think saw it. Didn't you show me online?
They leaked, but I don't want to be the one to say it. Thanks, guys, putting me on blast.
Come on, people are listening.
But we'll see. That could be. I think it's going to be exciting regardless to see what they do with this second rendition of the City Connect jerseys. And if they're anything like the first ones, where the Giants couldn't lose in those initial City Connects, I think there's something to look forward to.
Also, they couldn't keep them in stock. I know my nephew, everybody wanted the City Connect jersey. The marketing department, they couldn't keep enough jerseys and hats around. So
they're flying off the shelves.
Yeah, flying. So looking forward to seeing them on Tuesday.
Yeah, good start, Good start.
A great start. Let's say it. There's a lot of baseball left, right?
Yeah.
But you want to play well, whether it's spring training or the beginning of the season. A win's a win, and we all sleep better when we're playing well.
All right.
And one other thing, guys, as of today, the Giants have the longest win streak in Major League Baseball, so let's just put that out there and keep that rolling.
6 in a row. Well, their trip is coming up, though. This is not going to be an easy trip. The Yankees, we haven't talked about the torpedo bat yet. We'll do that next week. But, you got the Yankees 4 with the Phillies.
Right.
And then the Angels, Mike Trout, all of a sudden, from your neck of the woods there, Mike Trout's hit homers with 3 straight games. So
yeah, you're right. It's going to get tougher. Obviously, it's early.
Fun.
There's so much baseball, but hey, like I said, a win's a win, And to the torpedo bats, I'm trying to get one from my fungo. So I pitch myself lousy all the time. I'm jamming myself, so I need a little more head by the label.
Have you seen them yet? Does anyone have one here?
Just on TV. No, I know some guys are trying to get them. I talked to, the Seattle Mariners, Seitzer, the hitting coach, and, they have some ordered. So a lot of the players are trying to get their hands on these bats.
Good. All right. Have a good Sunday, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, Marty. Great being with you and Sandra this morning.
All right. The professor right here in the bunker. All right. We got baseball coming up. It's going to be a beautiful day today. Next up, Bruce Jenkins. Talk a little ball with him right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter. Fans, it's great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball. We're joined by Grant Power, the president and CEO of Nations. Grant, a quick question for you. What do you like for breakfast when you go to Nations?
My choice, I go with the 2-egger, and I either go super crispy bacon or I go wild salmon. I substitute that in. But I love both of those meat choices. I'm pretty much 50-50 on both of those. And then I go over medium on my eggs, and I ask for chopped onions on top of those. And then again, at 50-50, I go either French toast substitute or I go hash browns and toast. And if I go hash browns and toast, I almost always pick English muffin as my bread. Definitely do coffee, definitely do orange juice, and I'm always filled up. I usually don't need anything until a late lunch, and there are lots of wonderful breakfasts, but that's my top choice.
Well, I love it. All right, Grant, you're making me hungry. Thanks for being on. We'll talk to you again.
Always a privilege. You take care, Marty.
That's Grant Power, President, CEO of Nations.
Look through the window of the Original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see 2 guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Lurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball. Today they've won 6 in a row, and they take on the Seattle Mariners. They try to sweep them as we've got baseball today. Jordan Hicks on the hill for the Giants. Bruce Jenkins, good morning. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks, Marty.
Boy, what a beginning, huh?
Oh, it's just so much fun. I mean, I've got friends who had sort of given up a little bit. They hadn't given up on the Giants, but they weren't building their days around watching the games. But now that's completely different. It's like, what time's the game tonight? And around our house there was tons of excitement. My wife's way into it, and it's just they're playing such good ball. It's a very believable kind of streak. It doesn't seem fluky at all. It doesn't seem connected to last year at all, and it's just it's really smart and it's really fun.
Yeah, you have to look at the change to Buster Posey, and I just don't think it can be ignored. And he was there yesterday in the dugout before the game, and there's just a certain presence with him. And we've said it before, players aren't going to go up to him and say, Buster, I don't think we'll do it that way. It's just not going to happen, and it seems to reflect it the way they're playing defensively. There's something about the way they're playing that looks different.
I think it's made a tremendous difference for Bob Melvin. Yeah. I think he's a lot more comfortable managing. He's never one to speak out against the organization, but with Farhan having so much influence in the lineup, Melvin felt a little bit hamstrung, and it's completely his team now. He and Posey are both former catchers. They're on the same wavelength. They're not yanking guys up and down from the minor leagues every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And the lineup is pretty solid. You're looking at the same guys pretty much every day, and all this stuff matters. But just the philosophical tenets that have been put forth by the coaches on the hitters has been really dramatic. I mean, they've had some empty at bats with runners on, but more often than not, they're hitting smart. They're being a little more careful with two strikes. I mean, you got Matt Chapman. He rips a double down the left field line. The next time up, he rips one down the right field line. They're looking for pitches they can hit. They're not looking to go deep every time, and that adds up. Plus, if you add the defense is basically making no errors, and the pitching's been solid, that's going to work.
Yeah, and they do strike out. They had a 17 strikeout game and a 16 strikeout game. Then they struck out once and lost the game.
Yeah.
So you never know what's going to happen. But there's another player involved, Bruce, and Will and I talked about the obvious ones. But how about Wilmer Flores?
I
mean, when you look at his career, when it's all said and done, Wilmer Flores is a hitter, and he's a player.
He definitely is, and last year was kind of a washout for him. But the way he's looked this year, when he comes up, I feel like he's gonna yank one. He's got a real good presence about him. He's got that distinctive style where he's kind of leaning over a little bit, and very quick bat, dead pull hitter. You can't get an inside pitch by him, and I think they're very comfortable with him as a DH, or if he's going to play some first base. He's healthy. He loves being here, as do all the other guys, I imagine, right now.
Yeah, hey, Bruce, it's Sandra.
Hi.
Good to talk to you, our first one of the season.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say how, the Giants right now, they're hitting gaps, they're stealing bases, they're taking extra bags, they're bunting, they're doing all that stuff. But let's talk for a second about their pitching. We've got Jordan Hicks that's going to be out on the bump today, and he had a fantastic outing in Houston, his hometown, and was able to really have a wonderful showing there. Webb goes and pitches 100 pitches the other day, too, and what we saw from Ray, I know he's probably not so happy with having 5 walks, but his performance before that, he went 15 up and 15 down. He had a perfect game through 5. So talk a little bit about the Giants pitching and what you've seen so far.
Yeah, I kind of feel like everybody they put out there is going to give him a good outing. I know Verlander wasn't happy with his, but I thought Verlander was good enough. He's pitching at home, his first start. His stuff wasn't great, but it wasn't awful either. He got some big outs. He left a couple pitches up, and he left, not thrilled. But he's had a good impact. I don't think they're worried about him at all. But when I saw Birdsong come in yesterday, I'm thinking, man, this is guys coming out of your bullpen. I mean, he could easily be in that rotation. And like you say, I mean, Hicks. He's at the part of the stage of the season where he's going to be blowing people away. You saw it coming out of the gate, his first start. You never know if it's going to last. He's thrown an awful lot of hard fastballs over the last 10 years, but he's got him feeling good. But and then Webb, of course, he's a proven ace, and they really like Roop. I mean, Roop is kind of unhittable when he's working the curveball and getting in his command. So really, basically, everybody they throw out there, I think, is you feel like they've got a good chance to win. And the bullpen's great. I mean, sometimes they don't even get around to Randy Walker, but they did last night and see you later. So it's just all good, Sandra. I agree. I think, and it's such a big part of the game to have. It's obvious, but still, if you don't have it, you don't have it. The Braves don't have it now, and they're 1-8 or something.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal.
Yep. No. Every time you give the ball to somebody, they can win a game, and that's what I'm seeing. We'll see Roop against Cincinnati this week. Well, he'll get another shot. And Birdsong, they finally got him in a game, and he gave him a couple of innings. I like the fact they could maybe give him 3 or 4 innings a save, so you don't have to bring Rogers in every game.
Right.
You just can't do that with 8 games. So yeah, that's going on now. They're getting an identity, Bruce, because they're running. They're running like crazy. I mean, they've got more stolen bases now through 8 games. You'd have to go back to 1960 to figure it out. So I did. I went back to 1960 to see who ran. And, this is the first of Candlestick. They just opened it up. It's 1960. It's probably freezing. Who knows what? So they figured, all right, let's run. So they got Willie Kirkland,
right?
Eddie Brissou, Willie Mays, Kirkland again. Don Blasingame steals a couple. Cepeda, Mays, Cepeda, Blasingame again. Mays, Kirkland, and Mays again. And they just ran like crazy with those guys. And I said, Bruce and I will be the only ones who know who Willie Kirkland is.
Yeah, it wasn't like the '85 Cardinals, but they did.
No.
I wasn't aware of that at all. That they did so much running, but they took advantage of guys who could run and knew and were smart. I mean, what I like about what's going on now, they finally got a guy thrown out, Adames, last night. But until then they were running and succeeding. And it's funny to notice some of the stuff going on in the division. The Dodgers had runners at first and third the other night with Mookie Betts a tying run, game on the line, and 1 out or 2 outs. And Ohtani tries to steal second and gets thrown out. And it's just a total deflation. Then they threw out Real Muto. Then he threw out Chris Taylor to end the game, trying to steal second. And Arizona had one last night. Alec Thomas is on with game on the line, tying run at the plate. He tries to steal second. Boom, he's thrown out. See you later. So I mean, the contrast is kind of interesting that the Giants have been the team sort of setting a tone of base running, but it's definitely for real, and they're doing it at the right times. They've got the guys to do it, and once again, that's another thing that it was de-emphasized really all over baseball, but including the Giants for a number of years, and you hate to see it just become vacant, but it's a big deal now, and once again, a thing that'll help you win.
Boy, look at the division. I'm glad we could take just a quick look at it today. The Dodgers 9-1, Giants 7-1. San Diego's lost a couple here to the Cubs. They haven't scored. Scored 1 run in both games. 7-2. Arizona, as you point out, they're 5-4. They've been up and down. Suarez has 5 homers for him. And you know something? It's going to be interesting to see who beats Colorado. They're 1-7. You got 13 games with Colorado. You better win the games against Colorado. Colorado may have a bearing on how this thing turns out.
Yeah, you have to win those games the way it's going.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to sweep the Dodgers. You're not going to sweep the Dodgers or the Padres or Arizona, most likely, even as well as the Giants are going. Because those teams they're pretty loaded too, and they got some big plans. So, you feel. It's the great old line. Is Colorado still in the league? Well, they still are, but only to maybe spoil a couple of things. Near the end, guaranteed, Colorado will spoil somebody's year.
Yeah, well, look at this division, and everyone gets 13 against Colorado, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Well, after this homestand, the Yankees, Giants go to New York.
Tremendous.
I was just looking it up. They're 6-2. They've won 3 straight. Grisham hits 2 homers yesterday. Bruce, they've got 25 homers in 8 games. How about that?
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, led by Judge. They lose Soto, and then Rizzo's not there anymore, but they haven't missed a beat. Volpe has been great. The Cabrera and all these guys they're just tagging. Was it Grisham?
Grisham 2 yesterday.
Yeah, Grisham hit 2, and Judge setting the tone. They're having a lot of fun. They're going to be right in it. They're not going to hit 25 homers every eight games they play, but they play the launch angle game, and it's really working. And they've got a lot of the torpedo bats going there too. That's cooled off a little bit in the last couple of days. I haven't seen any outlandish torpedo bat stats, but the Yanks are using them, and it's 25 homers in 8 games. That says a lot. They're not all using them, but a lot of the guys are using those bats.
No,
Judge. Judge.
No, he's got. No, he doesn't need it. He's got 6 homers and 17 RBIs already.
Yeah.
Suarez has 5 homers. How about Edman? He's got 5.
And, good ball player.
And Flores, with a whole group of people, have 4. Then the one that jumped out at me, we do this all the time just to look at some leaders. Luke Jackson, Bruce, 5 saves. This is the same Luke Jackson the Giants couldn't wait to get rid of to the Braves.
Yeah, that is strange, and it's a good thing when you say, well, good for him, because it's not like he left a big hole in the bullpen. Their bullpen is incredibly strong, and relievers are like that. All of a sudden it's like, wow, this guy came up with a pitch. He just needed one more pitch, and all of a sudden you can't hit him over an inning or two, and that's kind of where he's at right now. But their bullpen is so deep. Jelly couldn't make the team, and they can put Duvall in there and give Walker a rest, all up and down. Birdsong, it just goes on and on. So good for him.
Yeah. Then it's Phillies for 4, and the stat I saw that jumped out at me: the Phillies starters. The only runs they've given up, 13 runs, are on 8 homers. If they don't give up a home run, you don't score on their starting pitching. So it's 3 with the Yankees and 4 with the Phillies and the Angels and Mike Trout, who all of a sudden has got homers in 3 straight games. So this is going to be an interesting road trip. I don't want to overlook today or Cincinnati, but the road trip for me is going to be very, very interesting.
Oh, my goodness. They're going to learn a lot because they're on the road. Yankee Stadium, that's the ultimate road series right there. They're obviously on fire. The Phillies are looking really, really good. And the Angels, like you say, Mike Trout, there's that familiar launch angle swing, and he's hitting it up into the fake mountain range. and they've got a long way to go. But the Angels have a little bit of life, so really interesting road trip coming up. And if the Giants come out of that looking like they have lately, they don't have to, play 750 ball. But if they just play the way they've been playing, it's going to be really encouraging.
Yeah, they're going to have to score some runs on this trip because those teams can score. And that's going to be the difference. Quick historical note: 1973, I think, Bruce. The DH. This is when the DH started, and God, it's 53 years ago. It seems like yesterday. But Ron Blomberg was the first DH, got the first at bat. How about that?
Yeah. It was almost Orlando Cepeda.
Yes.
The Yanks were in Boston, and the first DH is Ron Blomberg, and he gets up in the top of the first off Luis Tiant, and he walks with the bases loaded, and somebody goes, see, the DH has added offense to the game already. And that Cepeda came up in the bottom of the second. Unfortunately, Orlando went 0 for 6 in that game as the DH, which was not reflective of the year he had, But Ron Blomberg was a good hitter. He had some good years. He was a first-round draft pick by the Yanks, and he hit 329 that year that he was the first DH, and over 300 the next year. He didn't last long, but that's a pretty interesting day. I know a lot of people around the country were like, man, this is the DH. Our lives are over. But you're looking at a game with Fisk and Reggie Smith and Aparicio. Tiant went the distance, of course, despite getting knocked around. He still went the distance. And Munson and Nettles and two of the Alou brothers, Felipe and Matty Alou, were playing for the Yankees that day, and both of them had doubles. So what are you going to do?
I love it. All right. Chapman, Jung Lee, come on, double, hits. It's good baseball. It's good stuff.
Good baseball.
It's good stuff.
Well, not only that, but Ramos has reached in eight straight games, so he's got a nice streak going too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's hitting 6 straight too, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Boy, good stuff. All right, we'll talk to you next week. Yankee Stadium next week, Bruce.
Should be fun. Thanks, guys.
See you, Bruce.
Be well. Have a good Sunday. All right, good stuff. All right, coming up, Mark Simon, Sports Info Solutions, right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Hello again, Marty Lurie here to talk to you about my good friends at Georgie Brothers, the largest family-owned furniture store in the entire Bay Area. Right now, and good through April the 7th, you can save $500 That's $500 on every wing-style chair and ottoman. I own Stressless Furniture. I love it. I'm telling you, it's the best. I can tell you it's the most comfortable place to sit in my home. So visit them at GeorgieBrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Remember, tell them that Marty sent you.
Mark Simon. Mark, I love you, man.
Oh, no! All right, he is a Met fan, and he's also one of the great baseball analytical people in the country. That is Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter, Mark, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Between that intro and the commercial that was played before it, I'm very fired up right now.
You've got the best intro in all of baseball, Mark.
Yeah, you do. We love you, Mark. We love you. When John Miller can say that, come on. It's very good. All right, let me start with your Mets. The Mets have turned it around a little bit after a slow start. Jesse Winker, the triples machine, a big hit for him last night. Mets have won 3 straight.
Yes, and so that started with the Pete Alonso home run.
Yeah, big one.
The other day, late in the game, that got them even. A game that had been very frustrating. They'd played a couple of frustrating games. They weren't hitting, and Alonso woke them up. The thing that's funny about the Winker triples from yesterday, besides the fact that he hadn't tripled in like 4 years, both of those balls could have been caught. Like he was inches away from being 0 for 2 on those balls. As opposed to otherwise, the 2 triples. The first one, Springer misplayed, and the second one, Springer kind of just missed. So sometimes the luck is with you, and for the Mets, the luck has been with them really since the middle of last year.
Well, I watch it because I look at the East, and you got the Phillies to deal with, you got the Mets, the Braves, who knows what's going to happen with them, but, when this is all said and done with the West and the wild cards and all that, I look at the Mets, and I want to see how good the Mets can be with their pitching. But, Mark, what's happening here? Giants have won 6 straight. Seattle is here. They're a little better than I thought, Seattle. I've always wondered about their hitting. They put the bat on the ball. They're just not falling for it for them. But today, it's a good pitching matchup. You get Hicks, who threw 98-99 in his last start in Houston. And now you get Wu, who is probably one of the best pitchers that nobody knows about for Seattle.
Yeah, it is an excellent pitching matchup for sure. I think the story from Jordan Hicks in that first start was that he averaged 98 miles an hour with his fastball, which was something that was not part of his repertoire last year as a starting pitcher. And it will be interesting to see if he can sustain that. He largely got by with the fastball and the sweeper. He threw a few splitters, but it was mostly the gas and the mover. And he was great. Like, that was, boy, if he could be like that for 20, 25 starts a year, you won't feel as bad about losing Blake Snell. That was pretty impressive. The guy for Seattle, Brian Wu, very good. The thing to watch for him is he gets ahead of everybody. He throws strike one over and over and over and over. 73% last year, strike one on the first pitch, highest rate in baseball. He's impressive as well. Another guy who throws a lot of fastballs, so you will see a lot of heat in today's game.
Yeah, well, so say the Giants do get that first batter on bases. What can you say about the Giants right now and how they've been stealing and running around the bags?
Yeah, so this was something that caught me a little bit by surprise. But again, it's like 8 games, so who the heck knows? But right now, the Giants in all the base running ratings that exists across Major League Baseball are like first or second, which is a contrast to last year when they were like 15th or 16th or 17th, somewhere in there. But they're 11 of 12 stealing. They had their first caught stealing yesterday. And they have been really good at going first to third and second to home so far. And I think that's part of this Buster Posey ethos, Bob Melvin ethos. Got to do little things to win games because you don't have the talent that the Dodgers and perhaps the Padres have. And thus far, between that and the defense, pretty good.
The bullpen for me, well, the defense has been great. We'll talk about that in a second. But the bullpen for me has been interesting. It's not just Ryan Walker at the end or Rogers in the 8th inning. I keep my records every day, and folks know that, and if they can watch me on video, I have my book here. Starting pitchers go 5 1/3, 6 for Hicks, 7 for Webb, 4, 2 1/3, and then 6. There's a lot of middle relief happening. And this Randy Rodriguez, I'm telling you, he comes in very difficult inherited runner situations and pitches great, and they got Birdsong as a weapon too. The middle relief, and Bevins is another one. Mm-hmm. There's more middle relief happening now than I thought would happen.
Yeah, because nobody goes more than 5 innings anymore, as you just said. They've all been really good. I did want to give a shout out to both Rodriguez, and then I watched the 2 innings of Hayden Birdsong yesterday, and between them, it is 8 2/3 innings, no runs, 12 strikeouts.
Wow.
Hayden Birdsong has that new pitch, or the revised pitch, I guess, the kick change, that dives at the very end, kind of like a splitter. It's very impressive. Randy Rodriguez is another guy who's brought the gas. He's faced 16 batters and struck out 8. Middle relief wins a lot of games these days because if you've got it, your bats can have a tendency to come back mid-game, late in game, and if you don't got it, you can be in a lot of trouble and you can lose a lot of games. So I think a lot of those teams at the bottom of the standings, teams that just don't have the pitching depth, find out over the course of the season.
Yeah, either you got it or you don't got it.
Yeah. I was so impressed with Birdsong, and some of the guys on the call were saying how he's got such an arsenal of pitches because he was a starting pitcher. And so to be able to have him come into those middle innings and really be able to eat up some chunks. And Mark, you mentioned that kick change, and you could see Bailey yesterday when he nailed that kick change. The first couple maybe weren't in the right place when they were landing, but when he did, you could tell that Bailey was hyped up and was like, all right, that's the one right there. That's the one.
Yeah, and boy, what a weapon a 2-inning reliever would be these days, because you have so many guys that just go the one. But to take a guy who's a starting pitcher, and there are other teams that I think have done this. The Dodgers certainly would, I think, be one. But take a guy that was a starting pitcher and say, we need you to go 2 a couple of times a week to help us win games. And he looked good. He looked really good yesterday. Between those two guys, I think you have known quantities in Tyler Rogers, and you kind of know what Doval is at this point. And you know that Eric Miller can get you a lefty out when you need it. And Ryan Walker looks like he's going to be a pretty good closer. But to have those guys 6th inning, that's pretty good. It's a nice luxury to have, at least through 8 games.
Well, when baseball was played, as I remember it, with the Orioles, they'd bring Mike Flanagan would come up, a great pitcher, and Earl Weaver would make him a long reliever for a year. And then they'd start him the next year, and probably Wayne Garland and all these old Oriole pitchers. That's what they used to do. And it's not a bad thing if you could give the guy the work. If you can give Birdsong enough work to do it, it's not a bad way to break into the big leagues. And we did see that a lot in the past. But home teams doing better, and the Giants are getting ready to go on the road here for a tough road trip. What's going on home and away?
Yeah, I was just looking at the different statistics that have come up over the first 8 games of the season, and certainly things like Yankees 25 home runs jumps out because that's been ridiculous. The Dodgers have hit a ton of home runs too. And I went looking to just see if there was anything else that really stood out. And right now it's that home teams are dominating, 75 and 53, which is probably a 90-something win pace. Very impressive so far. Small sample, super small sample, 8 games for most teams. But yeah, home teams are dominating. The Giants looking pretty good at home. It's the smallest of samples for them. But yeah, they've that's kind of like my number to watch this week, I guess.
All right, Giants are going on the road and they go to Yankee Stadium. You're not too far from there. What do you think?
I think they're gonna run into a hard time there. The Yankee numbers are off the charts. It's not just Aaron Judge. It's Anthony Volpe has suddenly turned into a power hitter with these new bats. Jazz Chisholm has hit for big-time power. Every guy in the lineup looks like he's got a 900 OPS. Trent Grisham has a 1,600 OPS. Their worst hitter has is Austin Wells, and he's been very good. I think I don't know that the Giants are equipped to slug with the Yankees, but we shall see. That's why they play the games, right?
Yep, and you got to pitch, and the Giants can pitch. So
got to miss bat.
As I said when I pitched softball and I had to face the Doobie Brothers, who just crushed the ball, I said, they haven't seen me yet. And, of course, when they did, it was 17-0 in the 4th inning. But, they haven't seen the Giants yet, so let's see what happens. All right, Mark, I love it. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you next week from Giants will be in Yankee Stadium, so it'll be early next week.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Sandra.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, have a good day. That's a true story. I pitched 1 million softball games. And the Doobie Brothers, Tim Reardon, I love Tim. We lost him last week. And I said, Timmy, the Doobie Brothers haven't seen me yet. They crushed me. And that was one of our tournaments. All right. Hey, more coming up. Kerry's going to join us. I love talking ball with him and Glenn Kyper right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Just a quick note about the rooftop restaurant at the Via Hotel, the Hotel Via across the street from the park. They do a wide variety of events on the rooftop, from weddings and birthdays to corporate retreats and special events, holiday events, and any other special occasion you can think of. With stunning 360 views of the skyline, Bay Bridge, East Bay, and of course Oracle Park, the rooftop at Via is truly one of the most unique event venues in San Francisco.
Two pitch. Little bouncer hit softly, third base side, into field. It is Chapman. Here's the throw to first, and he got him. What a play with a fast runner on a softly hit ground ball to third. Chapman sprinting in, gloving it just in front of the bag, and while still on the run, making the exchange to the throwing hand, and the across the body throw right on the money to get him by a fraction of a step at first base. The ball game is over. The Giants make it 2 in a row over the Mariners.
Giants fans, there's no better way to set the game day table than talking baseball with Marty Laurie. Marty keeps rolling on KNBR, the sports leader.
Well, I love being back here today, and of course we're in the bunker, and Sandra, they got the light on me now. Someone said I was in the witness protection program.
It was a little dark, but
all right.
You know what? It's the opening weekend for the bunker, too, so we're knocking off the cobwebs, and we're getting the lights going, and shout out thanks to Michael for getting everything hooked up for us in here today.
Michael and Austin for doing that. All right, Kerry Crowley joins us along with Glenn Kyper. Kerry, good morning. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Marty. Doing quite well. What a night last night. What a week it's been for Giants fans. How about this week? We got so much to talk about.
I know. I love it. And Glenn Kyper, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Marty. And if Sandra G's on the show, we all need to we need to be sharp today, because she knows what's going on, and we she's gonna correct us if we make any mistakes. So I'm gonna try to be at the top of my game with her.
Oh no, she's on it today. Believe me. Yeah, this has been good. Boy, it feels good at the ballpark. I know you're coming out here in just a bit, and Kerry, there's just that atmosphere in the ballpark. So Glenn, I'll start with you.
it feels different the way they're playing, and I love defense. They're not making mistakes. The pitching is solid, and they're winning some games.
Well, yeah, it certainly helps when you're winning and you're playing, tight baseball. I think it's two things, right? The Buster thing is the real thing. They're calling it Buster Ball, which, I knowing Buster, he probably doesn't like that. He probably doesn't want his name on it. But I think, you guys, is that the fans just feel more confident knowing that Buster's in charge. And, I think the players and the staff just have a different feeling of confidence knowing that Buster's in charge, knowing how he operates, knowing that he's a confident guy. And I don't know that feeling has been there before Buster came. I just think it's as a whole, it's fans, organization, players. I think everybody has just a different feeling that this situation is under control. We're going to have some ups, we're going to have some downs, but we have a guy that knows how to handle this because he's handled it as a player. I think that's kind of what's going on with everybody, including the fans. And then you're winning games and you're playing good, solid baseball, and that helps a lot too. And now you got 2 sellouts and another sellout today. That's super exciting. So, boy, it's hard not to find, it's hard to find anything bad that's going on right now with this organization.
Boy, Kerry, the starting pitching has been okay. Mm-hmm. As Mark Simon said, the middle relief has been terrific. The closer has been terrific. But I think offensively, I'm going to get your thoughts on what's going on offense here with the two strike hitting, the 2 out runners in scoring position hitting, and there are 3 or 4 very hot players right now.
Yeah, I've been really impressed by the team's approach at the plate this season, Marty, and it's distinctly different from what we've seen the last few seasons. And I think there's a number of different approaches that work in Major League Baseball. What Farhan Zaidi brought to the San Francisco Giants and the previous hitting coaches that kind of led the organization's philosophy was, hey, we want you swinging to do damage every single time you're up at the plate. It doesn't matter if there's a runner at third and 1 out. It doesn't matter if the bases are empty, if there's 2 strikes. We just want your best swing in each individual situation. And I understand that philosophy. It worked perfectly in 2021, but there are certain times where that can come back to bite you. And when the opponents understand what you're doing in 2-strike situations and 2-out situations and times where you might want to bunt, but instead you're swinging away, it gives away the game a little bit. What we've seen from Pat Burrell and these Giants hitters so far this season is a real different approach with 2 strikes, a real different approach with a runner on second base and 1 out. And I think that you've seen a number of sacrifices. You saw on Friday the back-to-back bunts from Bailey and Fitzgerald. I loved that. But you're really seeing guys shorten up. And so Wilmer Flores last night, I thought, a perfect example of that. And then, there are situations where you're still swinging away and you're trying to do damage. I thought that Lamont Wade Jr., when he came up in the 8th inning against the Houston Astros on Wednesday, that was the classic example of step up and take that home run swing. See what the pitcher's giving you in that situation because you're already up 2. You can swing for the fences there. And so I think the Giants right now are very, very in line with their mindset at the plate, and they go in with a plan, and that plan shifts from pitch to pitch, but you can see it evolve over the course of the game, and I've been really impressed by it thus far.
Well, I'll tell you, Glenn, how about Lee, Chapman, and Ramos? How about those 3 with the doubles and coming through with big hits and scoring runs?
Yeah, and you're never going to get everybody, all 9 guys clicking at the same time. You're always going to have, 2 or 3 guys that get hot, and then you're going to have 2 or 3 guys that are slumping. It's just the way it is. Even the best lineups, that's what happens. It's just there's just no way you could have all 9 guys hot at the same time. But certainly those 3 guys are kind of carrying it right now. I thought there was a sequence to it. Kerry talking about different approaches at the plate, and I think there's different approaches just throughout all facets of their offense. And, in the bottom of the 6th yesterday, you guys, and you remember it, Lee leads off with a double, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what he does, and it's one of those small things that turned out to be huge, but he steals third base. That's a big deal, right? You get to third base with less than 2 outs. But what happened next was what was interesting to me. Because he steals third, now he's on third, the infield has to come in. So the third baseman comes in probably 6 or 7 steps. And what happens next?
Yeah.
Chapman hits a shot that he can't handle, goes through his legs, rolls down the line, and it's a double. If Lee doesn't steal third, the third baseman isn't playing in. He's playing 5 or 6 steps back. He makes the play, throws him out at first, and Lee's still standing at second base. So it's little things like that, the stolen base, which changes the whole complexion of the infield, and that helped the Giants get around. So it's just things like that that are starting to stand out to me. A simple stolen base at third, which is a big deal, but then what happens to the infielders? So I like what they're doing. They're trying to steal some bases. And I thought Kerry made a great point that, you know, the way they've been going about it in the past years, sometimes it comes back to backfire on you. And I agree with him 100%. It backfires on you when you're trying to hit a lot of home runs, but you're not hitting a lot of home runs.
Right.
And that's what happened, I think, the last couple of years. And now they're playing baseball. You know, they're just playing baseball. They're going to strike out a fair amount as a team, but let's pick when you strike out, right? Let's not do that with a guy at third and less than 2 outs. So I like what they're doing offensively because they're not a team that's going to mash a lot.
Yeah, and what I've been seeing is that the Giants this season is we don't have to hit home runs to be able to win ball games. They're doing all those other things like you're saying, Glenn. They're stealing bases. Well, how about the bunting? The double bunt is one of my favorite things in all of baseball. It's fantastic. So taking extra bases, all of those things seem to be clicking, and it's showing on the scoreboard.
And it's also really fun when that happens because I think when you play at Oracle Park, you've got to win, 47 to 50 games to reach your ultimate goal of probably winning 90, 92, 93, getting into the playoffs and guaranteeing that you're going to be one of the best teams in the National League. And you don't win at Oracle Park swinging for the fences on every pitch. You win by exactly how Sandra talked about playing baseball, by putting pressure on opponents, by stealing bases. Glenn's example of Jung Lee stealing third base, that's not a typical situation where you see guys go all the time. Runner on second, one of your best players at the plate. And what stuck out to me in that situation was that was actually the first hit of the ball game that the Giants had against Bryce Miller last night. And so they didn't have the book just yet on Bryce Miller and his timing, how he picks off towards second base, but that was some advanced scouting work. Jung Lee knew that it was Bryce Miller looking back to second base once and then coming home immediately. And so as soon as Miller peaked at second and goes home, Jung Lee's off to third base. He's stealing that bag, and as Glenn laid out for us, that's exactly how Matt Chapman capitalized with the next at bat. And so if the Giants are going to score 4 runs, 5 runs, 6 runs at Oracle Park this season, you're going to have to scratch across some exactly the way that they did last night. And I think that's going to have to be a theme for this team this season. So well said, Sandra.
Yeah,
thanks,
and
Garrett.
look, and Flores blooped his hit in, Yastrzemski blooped his hit in, and before you know it, your 4 runs are on the board.
Yeah, they're finding the gaps. They're blooping them in, and they're able to run. We've got some speed.
Well, today is, again, Seattle. Look, Seattle's a little better than I thought offensively. The ball's not falling for them, but they're taking some decent swings, and you get to that top of the order, they can hurt you a little bit. But today, they have a pitcher who's very good. He's from the East Bay. I know the Alameda Little League is out here today, 400 strong. And this Brian Wu and Hicks, who pitch great. Glenn, what about Brian Wu?
Yeah, he's pretty good. You know, I mean, they got some really good young pitchers, the Mariners, and their staff, especially their rotation, really needs to carry them because I don't see them scoring a ton of runs, but they got really good young pitching. We saw the kid yesterday, Miller's good, and Wu today. I'm looking forward to watching him. But it's kind of a cool story, you guys. Is like he grew up in Oakland, right? And he went to Alameda High School, which is, you know, I mean, it's very close to the Coliseum. It's just on the other side of the 880. But he grew up a Giants fan. Loved the Giants, even though he was in A's territory. And we saw him get to the big leagues in 2023, and he's become really one of the better young pitchers in baseball. And he has pitched here in San Francisco before. He faced the Giants here in 2023, and then he beat them last year in Seattle. So the Giants have seen him a couple times, but I'm sure he's going to have a huge following of friends and family at the ballpark today. So exciting day for him. But I thought it was interesting that even though he was so close to the Coliseum, he actually was a huge Giants fan growing up. So kind of a fun story, kind of a fun side story. And we don't wish him luck today, but we certainly wish a good Bay Area kid good luck the rest of the year.
Kerry, what do you think of Seattle? What's your take on it? I think they're a little better hitting team, but the ball hasn't fallen for them.
I think that they'll win the AL West, but I don't think that this team is all that good. I think that they need a little bit more offensively, and I understand what you're saying about the good at bats. Certainly have seen a lot of that from Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fun to watch. I know that he went 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts last night, but the home run that he hit off of Verlander on Friday afternoon to inside out a ball to go over right center field at Oracle Park, you just rarely ever see a right-handed hitter do that. I love Cal Raleigh, the switch hitting catcher. I think that signing him to the 9-figure extension probably a no-brainer for the Seattle Mariners, but you get down to 7, 8, and 9 in that order, Marty, and it reminds me of some of those thin-hitting, light-hitting Giants teams that we saw basically from 2017 to 2022, 2023, where you get to the bottom of the order and it's pretty easy to turn it over, and that's what worries me about Seattle's long-term hopes in that American League West. I still think that they're better than Houston. I love the young pitching. I love Wu, as Glenn just described for us. I think that Miller and George Kirby is really, to me, kind of the ace in Seattle. I know that Luis Castillo, the guy who didn't pitch on Friday, the other Luis Castillo,
Really?
he's
How can
incredible.
they do that to us? I thought it would be the other guy.
Luis F. Castillo
Really?
starting against the San Francisco Giants. I love that. And then Munoz at the back end of the bullpen. Maybe, he and Class A, two best closers in the American League for me. So they've got enough pieces, but they don't wow me. This is a team that good baseball teams should beat, and I think the Giants have beaten them twice. Wouldn't surprise me if they won again today. And I think that the Mariners will pick up most of their wins against a softer American League schedule this year. The National League's better. The AL West, to me, doesn't do much for me, and so I still like the Mariners in that division, but 86-87 wins for me.
All right. I'll ask Glenn and Sandra and Kerry, how do you like this NL West? Sandra, go ahead.
Well, the NL West, I mean, it's a bunch of big boppers if you look at the top right now with the Dodgers. So I think, as long as the Giants can continue to do what they're doing and keep their eyes just on what they're doing in this ballpark on their games, not worrying too much about what's going on everywhere else, and just continue to play their brand of baseball, which we've been seeing develop in these last 2 weeks, then I think they're going to be in good shape, and we'll see what happens.
All right, Glenn, San Diego, Arizona, where do you see it?
Yeah, I just think the Giants they need to just do their own thing. Play the way they've been playing, and they're going to have ups and downs, but just play good, solid baseball. I think they're a very good team. Now, are they good enough to, stay with the Dodgers? Who knows? That's going to be very difficult for any team. But if you just get yourself into the postseason, I mean, then you got action. I mean, then anything can happen. And the Dodgers playing great, obviously. They're pitching great, and so are the Padres. Padres are off to a nice start. Their pitching staff has been very good in the early going. We know what the Giants are doing, and Arizona's a good team as well. But I just think if the Giants, and I don't think they will do this, fans may do it, we all may do it, but I think if you worry too much about how good the Dodgers are and how good the Padres are, then you may take away from how good you are as a team if you're the Giants. And I think the Giants will be fine. Do I think they're going to beat the Dodgers in the division? No, I don't, but I think as this season goes on, I think we're going to find out that they're plenty good enough to win 90 games. And if you win 90 games, you're probably going to be a wild card team. And listen, we've seen wild card teams quite a bit lately get to the World Series. That is not an uncommon thing. So it's a great division. I think it's going to be fun. But you'll be battle tested, put it that way, when you get to the end of the season, wherever you're at. Because you're going to play the Dodgers and the Padres and the Diamondbacks a lot. So you'll be battle tested, but that's good. That's what you want. But let's just not spend too much time, stressing about how good the Dodgers and Padres are. Let's just watch this Giants team hang around, continue to play good baseball. And if that happens, I think they're going to be fine at the end of the year.
Care?
Yeah, Giants beneficiaries of the balanced schedule this year. I think that in the old schedule of Major League Baseball, where you used to play your division opponent 17, 18 times, it would be hard for the Giants to get to 86, 87, 88 wins. This year, I think that they'll be the beneficiaries of this, and I think that the NL Central, not very good. The Chicago Cubs going to be the class of that division. I like the Phillies in the East, and Marty, give me 3 teams out of the National League West as wild card teams this year. The Dodgers will take the division, but I think the Padres, the Diamondbacks, and the Giants can all get in as wild card teams. The Braves are off to a horrific start, 1-8. Profar's pop for PEDs. I don't see them going anywhere, and I think that it's going to come down to the Mets. They're going to be the biggest challenger of the 3 teams, with the Padres, the Giants, and the Diamondbacks contending for that wild card spot down to the end of the regular season. So I think that the Mets will be a factor, but the Mets don't quite have the starting pitching, I think, to hold up, and that is my big concern with the Giants right now. Look, Justin Verlander wasn't sharp on Friday. Ray got through 6 innings, 1-run ball last night, but he wasn't at his best. It was a Blake Snell-like start where he was nibbling. Too much nibbling for me, and so I'm excited to see Jordan Hicks go today. And if he can attack hitters the way that he did against Houston last week, I think that bodes well for this team. But Giants still need a number 2 for me, and I think they can get that at the trade deadline. I think there'll be opportunities if they keep winning for Buster Posey to make some deals. They got some young pitchers in the organization that would appeal to other franchises that are potentially selling at the deadline. But I like the Giants with one addition at the trade deadline, getting into the postseason as a wild card team.
Yeah, if you've never been a nibbler other than at Original Joe's for the butter cake.
No, I'm not nibbling at the butter cake. I'm devouring the butter cake.
Hey, well, neither was Marty on Thursday either.
I ordered the butter cake at Mardi Gras. Trust me.
He only knows
Marty,
one speed.
Marty, the rumor is you had 2 pieces. I don't know.
I had the large piece, believe me.
Okay.
I did. And I thought of Kerry Crowley when I did it. I will say that. Well, for me, it's how the Giants play within the division. I mean, these games are going to be fabulous. Come on, the Padre games, the Diamondback games, the Dodger games, and you better beat Colorado. You know, that to me, the National League West games are just going to be off the charts this year.
Hey, that's how West Coast, best coast.
Yeah, it's to me that's what I've seen in the early part of the season. I agree with you on the Mets. There's something to them. The Phillies as well. The Central has been a mess. But it is coming down to how you play within the West. I think that's going to be the deal.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the Giants' schedule just quickly, but maybe I'm missing something, but they don't see the Dodgers till July. Is that accurate?
Yeah, something crazy.
Yeah, July 11th, 12th, 13th is the first time they play the Dodgers. So they'll see the Diamondbacks before that, and they'll see everybody else in the division, but you're going to have to wait for that. The Giant-Dodger first matchup, so something to keep an eye on.
Good stuff. Kerry, thanks so much. Giants warm-up is coming up. Kerry, you do a great job. I'm thrilled to be able to talk ball with you on these Sundays, and Glenn as well, and Sandra. So, Kerry, thanks so much.
Well, thanks to all of you. Have a great one, Glenn, Sandra, Marty.
Thanks,
appreciate
Kerry.
you guys. This is always fun.
Hey, guys, and real quick before we go, I just want to wish my sister a happy birthday. Ness, love ya.
Awesome. Thanks, Kerry.
All right, thanks, Kerry. Have a good show.
All right, see you guys. Marty, you sign off here. You take the reins.
All right, I'll sign off. Well, but I love it. I love the shows. I love the season. Every day you're going to get another story. You never know where it's going to go. And the mosaic, it's starting to have a couple of tiles in it, saying, can this happen? But I like it. I like what's going on. And on these Sundays, we can sit back and just enjoy what's happening in baseball and wait for the next story. So, Kara, I know you got a podcast coming up with Connor Grossman. How about that?
Yeah, we've been doing it. We did our first episode this week, so we taped it. We ran a bit of it on Saturday's Giants warm-up show, and Connor's. You know Connor. He's a good baseball mind.
He's terrific.
He writes the great newsletter. I get it in my inbox every morning, and so it's fun to team up and do something like that. So we'll do that throughout the regular season.
Yeah, great. And of course, I have my YouTube Wednesday night. Marty, Lurie, and friends talking ball. I hope you'll be on it.
A lot of friends.
Yeah,
a lot of friends.
And Glenn is on, and we'll have JT Snow this week, and Grant Brisbee promised me he's coming out of hiding, that he's going to come on the show with us this week. So that's 6 o'clock on Wednesday. All right, Kara, have a great show today. It's a great time for baseball. Enjoy it, and talk to you next week.
All right. See you both. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kara.
Warm up here on KNBR. We'll hit the intro here, Raph. Thanks to Marty and Sandra. Let's get it rolling here on KNBR 104.5 680, the sports leader.
Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one, deep right field, gone!
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warm-Up.
Way back there. Goodbye!
On the sports leader.
We are back. What's going on, folks? Kerry Crowley hanging out with you Sunday morning, getting you set for Giants baseball. Your 7-1 San Francisco Giants going for their second consecutive sweep, this time looking to take care of the Seattle Mariners. It's the right-hander Jordan Hicks against a fellow righty and a hard thrower in Brian Wu off for the Seattle Mariners this afternoon. Both pitchers coming off of outstanding performances in their first outings of the season. Wu went 6 innings of 1-run ball, 5 strikeouts against the Athletics up at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Hicks was back in his hometown of Houston, and he went 6 scoreless, just 72 pitches needed, 6 strikeouts to retire the Houston Astros, help lead the Giants to a win in that series sweep that the Giants got on the road, first road trip of the season. What really stood out to me about Jordan Hicks in that outing was the way that he was able to paint with that sinker, 100 miles an hour on the black, especially if you go back and you watch the second inning from Hicks' outing on Monday evening in Houston. It was really one of the best innings that you'll ever see a Giants pitcher throw. 100 miles an hour with a fastball, was able to command it on both the left and the right half of the plate, was able to use that sweeper to his liking, and I just thought the world of Jordan Hicks in that second inning. He was able to carry over, dial back the velocity a little bit in the middle innings, but he was able to do that because when he dials back velocity, he's going from 100 to 96, 97. When other pitchers dial back, it's like Robbie Ray going from 95, 96 to 92, 93. Justin Verlander, the same. Logan Webb, about the same as well. It's different with Jordan Hicks. His ceiling is incredibly high. And you saw that on full display against the Houston Astros earlier this week. He got off to such a great start during the 2024 season. Of course, a Farhan Zaidi signing, 4 years, $44 million. Converted reliever, had pitched for 7 years in the St. Louis Cardinals bullpen, but had designs on starting when he hit free agency. The Giants were the one team that promised him that opportunity. And even though there's been a front office change, Buster Posey taking over as the president of baseball operations, the Giants were committed to Jordan Hicks in the rotation. They wanted to see what this young guy could give them. He's still just 28 years old, still a whole career ahead of him, not a ton of mileage on his arm. And so after he kind of broke down in the middle of last season, he hit his innings threshold by about the month of June. And by July, he needed to go on the injured list, needed to tone it down the rest of the year. The Giants wanted to see him bulk up this offseason. He did that. He's in better shape this year. He came into spring training with a great mentality and didn't have tremendous results during spring training, wasn't able to command the baseball as well as he thought he might down in Cactus League play. But man, was he a different pitcher when the lights came on in his first regular season outing against the Houston Astros. So he'll look to build upon that this afternoon at Oracle Park as the Giants go for the sweep. We will give you the lineups right now. Dan Wilson, his Seattle Mariners lineup looks something like this. Victor Robles leading things off and playing right field for Seattle, 256 average and a 601 OPS on the young season. Julio Rodriguez, the superstar center fielder, he'll hit second for the Mariners. 2 home runs, 4 runs driven in, 3 stolen bases, a 219 average, but an 844 OPS on the young campaign for Julio Rodriguez. Cal Raleigh back behind the plate this afternoon for the Mariners. He was the DH in last night's ball game. Switch hitter, 156 average, 539 OPS. Raleigh has yet to get it going, but he does have a ton of power, really 30 home run pop, and he can knock them out from both the left and the right side of the plate. The cleanup man this afternoon for the Seattle Mariners, he was John with Giants fans in the bleachers in left field last night. It's Randy Arozarena, I think one of the more entertaining players across Major League Baseball when he gets in a groove and in a rhythm, but he hasn't done so yet for the Mariners this season. Just 2 home runs, 3 runs driven in, a 129 average through the first 8 games of the year. Luke Raley playing first base. He'll get called in the 5th spot in the order today for the Seattle Mariners. Rowdy Tellez, the designated hitter from the Sacramento area, he hit 6th for Seattle. Dylan Moore, he showed some pop in last night's ball game, hitting his 2nd home run of the season off of Robbie Ray out to dead center field. He'll play the hot corner for Seattle and bat 7th. Ryan Bliss, the young second baseman, playing at 2nd and batting 8th for the Mariners today. And then J.P. Crawford in the 9 slot in the order, the left-handed hitter and the shortstop. Great glove defensively, but Crawford is yet to get it going offensively this season. So bottom of the order, the guy that Hicks has to watch out for, and the guy that the Giants relievers have to watch out for right now is Dylan Moore. He's off to a good start this season. 400 average, 1,300 OPS and limited opportunities, but the Mariners looking to get him more run over at third base right now. Here's the lineup that Bob Melvin has put out for your San Francisco Giants. It's Lamont Wade Jr. leading things off and playing first base this afternoon. Willie Adames back in the shortstop position today, playing and in the 2 spot in the lineup. Jung-Hoo Lee, after a fantastic performance last night, he's the center fielder this afternoon. 321 average, 887 OPS. After a couple of doubles, a single, a stolen base, 3 runs scored last night, Jung-Hoo Lee was all over the diamond for the San Francisco Giants. Also made a nice catch in center field. Matt Chapman, coming off of his bobblehead night, was given the Gold Glove Award last night. He'll hit 4th and play 3rd base for the Giants this afternoon. 310 average, 1.015 OPS after his doubles in last night's ball game. Elliot Ramos, he's the DH today. The Giants getting him some work as the designated hitter. 3 homers, 8 runs driven in, 2 stolen bases on the young year for Ramos. He's in the 5th spot in the lineup. Mike Yastrzemski, after reaching 4 times in last night's ball game, 3 times on free passes. He'll be out in right field hitting 6th. Luis Matos making the start today. He'll play left field and bat 7th for the Giants. Matos, very impressive in limited opportunities thus far for Bob Melvin's ball club. A couple of multi-hit games. Giants want to see more of Matos, and so they're finding a way to get him in today's lineup. Wilmer Flores on the bench as they go with Ramos at the DH spot, getting him off his feet a little bit. Matos out in left field this afternoon. Patrick Bailey getting the call behind the plate. He's back behind the plate, and I think that that's very important. I'll touch about that later on, why Bailey needs to catch Jordan Hicks and why Sam Huff lined up to catch Robbie Ray this season. Bailey, switch hitting catcher in the 8th spot in the order, and then Bob Melvin switching things up over at second base today. Giants tried this on Wednesday against the Houston Astros. They got Christian Kost in the lineup. Kost still looking for his first big league hit. He reached on a walk in his first major league plate appearance. He will bat 9th and play second base, which means that Tyler Fitzgerald, who's off to a very rough start to the season, he's sitting down today. The Giants did see Fitzgerald score the game-winning run in Friday's 10-9 thrilling walk-off win over the Seattle Mariners, but so far Fitzgerald still looking to find the sweet spot with that barrel. Hasn't been able to do so yet this season. On the other side, we'll talk more about last night's ball game, a 4-1 victory for your San Francisco Giants. Robbie Ray gave the Giants the start that they needed. Hayden Birdsong out of the bullpen, 2 impressive innings, and then Ryan Walker collecting the save for the Giants as they picked up their 3rd consecutive series win to open the season. You have thoughts on Jung-Hoo Lee, you have thoughts on Matt Chapman. We're also going to open up the phone lines here in the 10 o'clock hour. We want to hear from you. 415-808-KNBR is the number. This is something we're going to do throughout the pregame shows this season. We've got our extended Giants warm-up all season long here on KNBR on Saturdays and Sundays. Love this show and love sharing it with you. So please do dial in, share your thoughts on the lineup, what you've seen from the first 2 games of this homestand, and what the Giants need to do today against Brian Wu, Bay Area native, Alameda High product, taking the mound for the Seattle Mariners. We got a great day of Giants baseball here on KNBR. I'll be with you through Giants warm-up and Giants pregame show. You'll hear the series finale against the Seattle Mariners at 1:05, and then immediately following the conclusion of today's postgame wrap, Bill Laskey has got an extra special, extra innings planned for you. He's got an interview with Jamie Moyer, 25 years as a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. Loved watching Jamie Moyer pitch, the crafty left-hander. And he'll also be joined by Mark Hallberg, the Giants' first base coach. Hallberg, always a fascinating interview. So looking forward to hearing both of those from Bill this afternoon. And of course, your calls at 415-808-KNBR. I'm Kerry Crowley. The show's Giants warm-up. We are just getting going here on KNBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
KNBR, the sports leader.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boys. it sound right, boy. It sound right, boy.
Be safe. Now Chapman rips one, and it gets through. The third baseman Moore. Down the left field line. Lee scores. Chapman speeding into second. And he's in there with a slide ahead of the throw from Arozarena. The Giants have the first run of the game. And Jung Lee created one there.
We're getting you in the mood for a crazy crab sandwich, some garlic fries, a cha-cha bowl, and some orange and black baseball. KNBR's Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the sports leader.
We are back here on Giants Warm-Up. Kerry Crowley hanging out with you, getting you set for first pitch coming your way, 1:05 this afternoon from Oracle Park. Well, that call you just heard, the fourth inning of Saturday evening's ball game out at Oracle Park, and just sensational execution from the San Francisco Giants. They hadn't had a hit against Bryce Miller. He was cruising through 3 innings. Young Seattle right-hander, really, I think, one of the best young pitchers in the American League. And Jung Lee rips the ball down the first base line, gets onto second base with a double. And this is where the inning starts to get interesting for me, because Bryce Miller had not allowed a base runner yet to the San Francisco Giants. And they hadn't seen his pickoff moves, his looks towards second base. And yet, very first pitch of the at-bat to Matt Chapman, Jung Lee, who's already in scoring position, he decides as soon as Miller takes a peek towards second base, and as soon as Miller even glimpses back toward home plate, that he's taken off. This is some incredible advanced scouting work from the San Francisco Giants to understand that Bryce Miller, that his first move, the first time there's a runner on second base, they know what he's going to do. They've seen this move before, and Jung Lee gambling there, but it's less of a gamble when you know exactly what a pitcher's going to do. So Bryce Miller has this pickoff move. He has his timing, his cadence down in terms of how he'll hold runners on at second base. The Giants clearly picked up on that, and Jung Lee was off to the races, stealing third base with ease on that first pitch of the plate appearance to Matt Chapman. And I thought that was particularly impressive. The Giants didn't necessarily need that stolen base, but it changed the inning for this team. And you have to remember, against a pitcher like Bryce Miller, who didn't have the best outing of his young career last night, but did have very good stuff in the early innings, you have to take some calculated risks. You have to put things in motion. And Jung Lee was able to do that last night. And so he's over on third base with Matt Chapman up at the plate. And as a result of Lee over at third and, fewer than 2 outs on the board, the Mariners draw their infield in, which is especially important for a guy who can hit the ball hard like Matt Chapman. So the Mariners are trying to prevent the run. They know that it's potentially going to be a low-scoring ball game with the way that Robbie Ray's throwing, with what they'd seen from Bryce Miller early on. So you bring the infield in as opposed to playing them back. And Chapman hits a ball over toward the third baseman, Dylan Moore. And it's a ball that, 90% of the time, Moore would field with ease. It's a 5-3 putout, one hopper over to third base. He takes care of it. Instead, Miller was 6 to 7 feet drawn in on the infield. Because Jung Lee was over at third base as opposed to standing on second after the stolen base, ball skirts under the glove of Dylan Moore and rolls into left field. The Giants are on the board. Chapman advances out to second base with the double. And from that point forward, the Giants were putting pressure on the Seattle Mariners. A very impressive sequence, and it shows you the type of ball you have to play to win at Oracle Park. You have to take things to your opponent. And I thought this was the type of ball that, quite honestly, was lacking during Bob Melvin's first season in San Francisco. I thought the Giants relied way too heavily on getting 3 hits in an inning, on station-to-station baseball. And with the moves and the rules that Rob Manfred instituted in Major League Baseball about 2 years ago, where kind of opened up the base pass, opened up the running game, bigger bases, fewer pickoff throws, it incentivized teams to go out and run. It forced teams to consider, hey, we don't have our fastest runner on first and second base, but because of the way that the game is set up now, because it's so difficult to get hits against these pitchers who are throwing 95 to 100 miles an hour with sink, cutting action on their pitches, you have to take chances when they're presented to you. And I thought the Giants did exactly that against Bryce Miller in the fourth inning, didn't look back, and they reaped the rewards from Jung Lee and Matt Chapman all night long. Those were the 2 players putting pressure on the Seattle Mariners, and I'll talk more about Jung Lee and Matt Chapman in just a few minutes. But the Giants are fortunate to have them in the middle of this lineup, and fortunate that they've been able to do what they have the first week of this regular season. The Giants 7-1, 2-0 at Oracle Park, and hoping to build upon that this afternoon as Jordan Hicks takes the mound against the Seattle Mariners. So the Giants win at 4-1 in last night's ball game. They had 10 hits. The Mariners had 7. Neither team committed an error. Let's take a spin around the scoreboard from Major League Baseball on Saturday afternoon and evening. Detroit Tigers got their second consecutive win over the Chicago White Sox at Comerica Park in Detroit. Kerry Carpenter, one of the great carries in sports, he hit a 2-run home run. The Tigers scored all 7 of their runs in the first 3 innings, and then they were able to hold on against the White Sox. Minnesota Twins won 6-1 over the Houston Astros. The Twins 3-5 headed into today's series finale. So are the Houston Astros, of course, after being swept by the San Francisco Giants. Jose Miranda hit a big 3-run home run in that ball game. How about this for the Astros? Jose Altuve led off the ball game with a home run, and then the Astros didn't score over the course of the final 9 innings of that game. So they pounded out 9 hits, but weren't able to scratch another run across. Spencer Arrighetti, the rookie, took the loss for the Twins in that one. Final from Wrigley Field on Saturday afternoon. The Chicago Cubs won 7-1 over the San Diego Padres. Padres got out to that hot 7-0 start before dropping each of their first 2 games at Wrigley Field. It was Matthew Boyd, former Giants pitcher, never actually made an appearance in a Giants uniform, but he threw 6 scoreless innings for the Cubs in yesterday's ballgame. Nick Pivetta takes the loss for San Diego. He's now 1-1 with a 2.70 ERA on the season. And it was Carson Kelly, the catcher, crushing a 3-run home run. How about Carson Kelly? Off to such a great start this season. Former Arizona Diamondbacks catcher. He hit for the cycle last week for the Chicago Cubs, who have been really good since returning from Japan. They started the season 0-2 on that Tokyo Series trip against the Los Angeles Dodgers. But since that, the Cubs are 7-2, and in my opinion, the class of the National League Central. I think that you're going to see that team win a lot of games this year and beat up on a very mediocre schedule. Other scores from around Major League Baseball on Saturday. The Washington Nationals won over the Arizona Diamondbacks 4-3. The pitcher for the Nationals, Mitchell Parker, threw a great ball game, picked up his second win of the young season. He's now 2-0 with a .73 ERA. Kyle Finnegan got save number 2. The Diamondbacks fell to 4-3 in that ball game after winning on Friday evening in our nation's capital. The Nationals, both of their wins have come in Mitchell Parker starts for that team, so he's a name to watch this season. Other games from around Major League Baseball on Saturday. The Dodgers got back in the win column. A 3-1 victory over the Philadelphia Phillies, who are now 6-2 after the defeat at Citizens Bank Park. Jesus Luzardo was brilliant on Friday night for the Phillies. He's going to be a tough guy to face at the back end of that Phillies rotation. Had 11 strikeouts in his first outing and then tamed the Dodgers really over 7 innings on Friday night. Well, the Dodgers got back in the win column on Saturday as Kike Hernandez hit a 2-run home run. Michael Conforto hit a late blast in that one. Anthony Banda picked up the win for Los Angeles out of the bullpen. Aaron Nola saddled with the loss for Philadelphia. And how about Tanner Scott, the 4-year, $72 million contract that he signed for the Dodgers this offseason? He comes in and gets a save on 3 pitches. Dodgers made an error behind him, and then he rolled a double play, as well as got another out. So I think it was the first save on 3 pitches since Mariano Rivera did so 22 years ago. First time you see something like that in Major League Baseball in more than 2 decades. So an achievement for Tanner Scott, but not one the Giants fans want to dwell on for too long, as the Dodgers now 9-1, the Phillies 6-2. On the season. New York Yankees won 10-4 over the Pittsburgh Pirates on Saturday, but this was not the biggest story in Pittsburgh. I'll get to that in just a moment. Mark Leiter Jr. had the win for the Yankees. Trent Grisham hit 2 home runs for the Yankees. Didn't play a whole lot last year after coming over from the San Diego Padres, but Grisham is going to be someone who the Yankees rely on more heavily this season, and he's off to a really strong start. 2 home runs, and those were not cheap blasts. He hit one way out in the right center field, and then an opposite field shot that he tucked just inside the left field foul pole at PNC Park. But again, like I said, not the biggest story in Pittsburgh yesterday, because how about this? The Pittsburgh Pirates at PNC Park. I've always loved PNC Park. I think it's one of the great backdrops for baseball in all of the United States. They had an advertisement out in right field. Not something out of the ordinary, but on the outfield wall in right field. So every major league team does this. Why is this a big deal? Because the Pittsburgh Pirates removed a logo of the number 21 honoring Roberto Clemente to put this advertisement up. That was for years at Pittsburgh Pirates, at PNC Park, for the last 2 decades, a spot in right field where Pirates fans could acknowledge and honor the legacy of Roberto Clemente, and instead they put up an advertisement over it. And so they've taken the number 21 down, and thank goodness Roberto Clemente's family has responded to this. There's some outrage in Pittsburgh, and I hope that the Pirates organization is notoriously cheap and frugal and tries to limit any sort of spending at all. I hope that they're not trying to capitalize on the advertising dollars from a right field advertisement at PNC Park in lieu of honoring Roberto Clemente, because that is so important. It's just one of the incredible figures in Major League Baseball, one of the most important Latin American players to ever come through the major leagues. I think, Hall of Famer, 3,000 hits on the nose, one of the greatest to ever do it. Obviously had the tragic death, and it's important that Major League Baseball continued to remember him and all that he meant to the sport. And the Pittsburgh Pirates can't be the team that are forgetting about Roberto Clemente. So that was the bigger story in Pittsburgh on Saturday. Some other scores from around Major League Baseball. The Baltimore Orioles won 8-1 over the Kansas City Royals. The Orioles off to a 4-5 start this season. Sagano got his first career win in Major League Baseball. The Royals fell to 3-5. Michael Wacha taking loss for Kansas City. I still like Kansas City in that AL Central. It's going to be a tough battle between the Royals and the Tigers. Probably throw the Cleveland Guardians and the Minnesota Twins in there. You're going to have a bunch of teams racing to 85, 86 wins if they can get there. The Texas Rangers won 6-4 over the Tampa Bay Rays. They moved to 7-2 on the season. The Rays fall to 4-4. Garcia got the win. Montgomery takes the loss. And how about this? Forever Giant Luke Jackson picking up save number 5 this season for Bruce Bochy's Texas Rangers. Yes, Giants fans, last 2 years, if Luke Jackson should ever be in the closer role, most of them would roll their eyes at that thought. But Luke Jackson, kind of a rebirth under Bruce Bochy in Texas, who's also used former Giant Will Smith in past years as his closer. Just loves those reclamation projects at the back end of the bullpen, and good on Bruce Bochy's team. Off to the 6-4 win, 7-2 start. You will see them at Oracle Park in just a few weeks. 3 weeks from today, you will see the Texas Rangers and the San Francisco Giants wrapping up a 3-game set. 3 weeks from yesterday is the day that the Giants will honor Brandon Crawford out at Oracle Park. I believe it's Saturday, April 26th, in which they will have the Brandon Crawford Day. I'm very excited for that one, as the Giants want to honor the legacy of a guy who manned the shortstop position for 12 years for the San Francisco Giants and did so better than just about anyone ever has in franchise history. You'd have to go back to Travis Jackson, and I don't think many of us were watching baseball in the 1920s if you want to find a comparison for Brandon Crawford's legacy at the position for this franchise. New York Mets beat the Toronto Blue Jays 3-2 on Saturday. Edwin Diaz took the win late in that one. Francisco Lindor hit a walk-off homer for the Mets as they improved to 5-3. The Blue Jays fall to 5-4 on the season. Cincinnati Reds, they'd had such a tough go of it at the plate all week. They won 11-7 to the Milwaukee Brewers, belting out 7 runs in the first 3 innings. Jose Trevino hit a big home run. Brady Singer claims the win for the Reds in that ball game. The Marlins shut out the Atlanta Braves 4-0. The Braves now 1-8 on the season. Cal Quantrill got the win for Miami. The A's took care of business at Coors Field in Colorado against the Rockies. They won at 7-4. J.P. Sears got the win. Mason Miller, young right-hander who throws above 100 miles an hour, claimed his 3rd save of the season. And the Los Angeles Angels, their bats have been hot to start this season. They won at 10-4 over the Cleveland Guardians, taking ace Tanner Beebe to task yesterday. There was one postponement across Major League Baseball, and that was the Red Sox and the Cardinals. They were rained out in Boston, so they will be playing. They're in the midst of a doubleheader already today, top of the 2nd inning in that ball game. We'll keep you updated on scores around Major League Baseball from the early window of games later on during Giants warm-up. When we come back, we'll take a look at Jung Hoo Lee, Matt Chapman, their performance, and a closer look at today's starting pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, Jordan Hicks, and what he'll try to do against these Seattle Mariners hitters. I'm Kerry Crowley. The show is Giants Warm-Up. You're listening to KNBR, the sports leader.
KNBR, the sports leader.
Line drive down the right field line. That's a base hit. Off the pillar between the second and third archways. Lee around third. He scores. The throw goes into second. Offline, and a sliding double from Matt Chapman. So Lee's double is followed post haste by a Chapman double. He slashed one down the right field line, a fastball away, and it's 3-1 Giants.
While Bob Melvin preps the men in orange and black, we'll prep you for today's ball game as our Giants warm-up continues on the Sports Leader.
We are back here on Giants Warm-Up. Kerry Crowley hanging out with you. Second hour of our show, extended pregame show today, as we have every Saturday and Sunday during Giants season. Taking you up to first pitch at 1:05 Pacific time this afternoon. The San Francisco Giants going for the 3-game sweep of the Seattle Mariners. This Giants team has won 6 in a row. An impressive stretch that began last Sunday in Cincinnati against the Reds. They then swept the Houston Astros, and then a 10-9 thriller on Friday afternoon, one of the most memorable home openers in Oracle Park history, probably the most memorable home opener. You know, I go back to the year 2000 when Kevin Elster hit 3 home runs for the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Giants lose 6-5. Of course, Bonds and JT Snow homer in that game, and you think, man, this is going to be a all-time bandbox. This is going to be a hitter's paradise, and we couldn't have been more wrong about then Pac Bell Park, now Oracle Park. It's, of course, been SBC and then AT&T Park. Whatever the name of the ballpark, it has always been one of the most picturesque and idyllic places to watch Major League Baseball, and you saw that again on Friday afternoon as the Giants mounted that 11th inning comeback against the Mariners. They were down to their final out, and Willie Adames looped a ball into right field in front of Victor Robles. Tyler Fitzgerald running all the way from second base through the stop sign of third base coach Matt Williams. He comes home, scores the game-winning run, and the Giants don't look back. They win on Friday. They win last night thanks to Jung Lee and Matt Chapman. Just a really impressive week of baseball. A great way to energize a fan base that I think has been looking to get excited about Giants baseball for the last few years. I mean, you think about the 107-win season back in 2021 and some of the momentum that created, but the Giants couldn't capitalize off of that. They couldn't build upon the 107-win season. You remember that early in that year, there were still restrictions and limitations on how many fans could be in the ballpark because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and so the Giants were dealing with lower ticket sales, lower capacity at Oracle Park at the time, and they weren't really able to cash in completely on the energy and interest surrounding that 107-win team. And I think one of the great mistakes that this franchise has ever made is not just adding to and supplementing the roster following that season. They let Kevin Gausman walk. He goes and signs with the Toronto Blue Jays, 5 years, $110 million. They bring in Jock Peterson as the marquee addition of that offseason. They didn't do nearly enough, and they haven't drafted well enough over the last 5 years to supply this roster with the requisite talent. And so 22, 23, 24, pretty boring seasons, underwhelming seasons in which the Giants failed to live up to expectations. And they certainly tried to drum up some expectations entering 2024 with the late additions of Jorge Soler and Matt Chapman and then Blake Snell right before the end of Cactus League play. But it just didn't work out all that well. Soler got off to a horrific start with the Giants. He couldn't hit with runners on base. He had to go in the leadoff spot for Bob Melvin's club. He couldn't play the outfield. He just wasn't a fit for this roster. And Matt Chapman took a little while to get going before ultimately having a tremendous season that ends with the 6-year, $151 million extension that he signs back in the month of September that Buster Posey helped orchestrate for the Giants. But Blake Snell, he was the big addition last offseason, really at the very end of the offseason. The Giants brought in Blake Snell, didn't really have time to ramp him up during Cactus League play, and so he ends up starting the season on the Major League roster. I think a huge mistake that the Giants made. He gets hurt early. He's on the injured list for the first half of the year. The Giants just never had momentum. They were a sub-500 team for much of the season. Early August, they peak at 3 games above 500, but that was it. It was a team that never made a serious run at a playoff berth, a team that had all the requisite talent but never put it together. And if you watch really the first 4 or 5 months of last season, it was a team that struggled to base an identity, struggled to have a foundation, and really struggled to gain any semblance of rhythm over the course of the season. And it's already different in the year 2025. Again, incredibly small sample size. It's just an 8-game stretch. But the Giants are playing really well, and you're seeing some consistent themes emerge from what they've done over the first week of this regular season, week plus now, as they're entering Sunday at 7-1, second place in the National League West behind the 9-1 Los Angeles Dodgers, who closed their weekend matchup against the Phillies this afternoon. They're already in action out at Citizens Bank Park. And so what you've seen thus far is a ball club that's getting enough from its starting pitching. It hasn't been elite starting pitching, but the Giants have gotten enough from Logan Webb and Justin Verlander, who didn't pitch all that well on Friday. Robbie Ray, who goes 6 innings of 1-run ball on Saturday evening. Jordan Hicks, who's looking to build off an outstanding performance on Monday against Houston. And Landon Roop in the 5th spot in the rotation. You will see him on Monday evening against the Cincinnati Reds. It's been the bullpen that's done the bulk of the work for this team. I have been so impressed by the group that Buster Posey, Zach Manassi, and Bob Melvin broke spring training with. Giants haven't had to make any roster moves yet. Haven't had to sub out Spencer Bivens, send him down to AAA Sacramento, or Randy Rodriguez, send him down to AAA Sacramento. Those are the guys with minor league options. Instead, they've been able to keep all these guys around because they're all pitching well. And look at a day like yesterday, for example. You really need 6 quality innings from Robbie Ray to make sure that the bullpen can stay intact and you're not overusing certain pitchers. And Robbie Ray gives you 6. And then Hayden Birdsong comes in and he throws 2 scoreless frames out of the bullpen. I'll talk more about Birdsong in a moment, but it just has lined up so well for the Giants to the point where when they've had shorter starts on certain days and had to exhaust their bullpen, they've had longer starts on the following days or off days on the following days. Like Landon Roop goes 4 innings on Wednesday, and then the Giants are off on Thursday. So they're able to recover. They're able to get guys the rest that they need. And that's played such an important role in the opening of this 2025 Giants season where they're 7-1. And so everything has kind of fallen into place for this ball club. But one of the reasons that it has fallen into place is the great situational hitting. And you saw that last night. I know that I've talked a lot about Jung Hoo Lee and Matt Chapman so far, but you can't say enough about the work that they put in, both at the plate, working counts and hitting their pitches. I talked earlier this show and the 10 o'clock hour about Jung Hoo Lee putting pressure on Bryce Miller, stealing third base in the 4th inning, forcing the Mariners to draw the infield in against Chapman, who ripped a ball down the third base line that Dylan Moore couldn't collect and probably would have if he was playing at a normal depth. But let's move on to the Giants' next rally, which of course takes place in the 6th inning. And this starts once again with Jung Hoo Lee putting pressure on the Seattle Mariners. 2 outs. And you see, not 2 outs. Jung Hoo Lee led off the inning in the 6th with a ground rule double out to right center field. And it was unfortunate that ball bounced over the fence because Lee had all the momentum in the world. He was sprinting out of the batter's box. He could sniff the triple. He wanted triples out. He'd be fired up. Instead, he's held to a double because the ground rule double as it bounced over the wall. But Matt Chapman follows that up by smashing a pitch. It was above the belt, and he goes the opposite way. It was such a clean swing from Chapman where he really let the ball travel and get deep on him, and he just smashes it into right field, into the corner. It bounces off the wall. Victor Robles collects it, but really had no shot, even with a great throw, to get Chapman sliding into second base with that double. They ultimately add to the lead later on in the inning when, with 2 outs, Wilmer Flores drills a little single into left field, not trying to do too much in that situation. You've still got Bryce Miller in the ball game. The Giants are just trying to knock him around, get him out so that you can get into that Seattle bullpen and get Miller out of that game. And Flores just punches one into left field, allows Chapman to come around and score from second base in that situation, to come around and score from third base because he'd already advanced to second on the ground ball from Elliot Ramos earlier in the frame. So just loved what I saw throughout that ball game from the Giants. You're not going to score 10 runs like they did on Friday in every single game. You're going to have to get by in Major League Baseball, and specifically when you play 81 home games at Oracle Park, by winning 4-run games, by winning games where your offense delivers enough situational hitting and your pitching staff and your defense picks you up the rest of the way. And that's exactly what transpired on Saturday evening out at Oracle Park. So I wanted to play a few cuts from Giants manager Bob Melvin in terms of speaking about the pitching staff and the big contributors from Saturday's ball game. You look at Friday where the Giants had to exhaust their bullpen. Saturday, they're able to go to Hayden Birdsong, the only guy who didn't pitch out of the pen in relief on Friday. Birdsong was able to give the Giants 2 innings behind Robbie Ray last night. And Melvin spoke about this. Everyone's getting a chance to pitch, and they're all helping the Giants secure these wins and be off to the 7-1 start that they are. So here is the Giants manager.
Yeah, he's pitched differently almost every time out this year. Sliders, changeups, maybe got squeezed a little bit at the bottom there after a bit, but, knows how to pitch. Gave us 6 innings today, which was needed. Got to use Hayden for a couple innings there, too, that rested the bullpen as well. So it ended up being a really good game for us. And everybody's getting involved here, which is really key with this team right now. Everybody's getting a chance to play. Everybody's getting a chance to pitch. And it's a pretty good feeling in the room.
Thought that Bob Melvin said it well. Like, look, this was not a lights-out version of Robbie Ray. In fact, this version that you saw on Saturday night, if you see this version in the year 2024, when he's coming off of the Tommy John surgery, when he's returning to the mound, I'm not so sure that Robbie Ray gets through more than about 3 innings against the Seattle Mariners because he didn't have great command of the fastball. This start, to me, was kind of reminiscent of a day when Blake Snell was pitching for the Giants and didn't have it. Nibbling around the corners of the strike zone, never wanting to give in, and issuing a lot of walks, a lot of free passes, and sometimes a number of non-competitive pitches, balls that right out of the hand, hitters know that they're not swinging at. And yet Ray is still able to get through 6 innings, just kind of on his veteran experience, understanding how to pitch. He got a double play ball behind him. I thought that was really important for the Giants. And with runners in scoring position, he was able to just buckle down and get Mariners hitters out. He only struck out 2 hitters in last night's ball game. And for the most part, Robbie Ray is like a strikeout and inning guy. You're going to see him over the course of, let's say, 150 innings, probably rack up anywhere from 150 to 175 strikeouts. Last night, it was not that type of a game against a Mariners lineup that doesn't make a whole lot of contact, that is prone to striking out a whole lot. So that tells you that Ray didn't have his best stuff, but he trusted the defense behind him, and you have to be able to do that at Oracle Park. You saw a number of nice plays. Jung Lee made some in center field, and then Hayden Birdsong able to come on for the 7th and the 8th inning. And we heard from Bob Melvin pregame on Saturday afternoon, that Birdsong might look more like a traditional reliever than the Giants once anticipated. They came into this season kind of hoping that after he lost the 5th starter competition in spring training to Landon Roop, that they'd be able to find some piggyback opportunities for him, maybe throwing 3-4 innings after a Jordan Hicks start in Houston on Monday, or maybe throwing 3-4 innings after a Landon Roop start in Houston on Wednesday. But they didn't need to do that on Monday because Hicks went 6. They were able to go Rogers, Doval, and Walker out of the bullpen to lock down that game. And then, you look at the win on Wednesday against the Houston Astros. Roop goes 4, comes out. Randy Rodriguez plays the fireman role. Birdsong again in. But once you get to the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, you want to use your high leverage guys. Like that was a game where it was a 2-run ball game entering the 8th inning. The Giants were up 5-3 before Lamont Wade Jr. hit that big solo home run coming off the bench to extend the lead to 6-3. The Giants wanted their best arms in Rogers and Doval and Walker in that ball game at the end. And so the first week of the season, there wasn't a chance to get Birdsong like a 40 or a 50 pitch outing. And so you're going to see him in shorter 1-2 inning stints for the time being. And what that ultimately means for the Giants rotation later on this season, say someone gets hurt, it might mean that Kyle Harrison or Carson Seymour is the first guy up from AAA Sacramento. Maybe Carson Wisenhunt at some point over the course of this season, that Birdsong isn't ready to pitch out of the rotation because he's not built up like that. But what I do know is that Birdsong gives so much in terms of his stuff, so much in terms of his presence on the mound, that come July and August, if there's an opportunity for the Giants to do so, they'll probably want Birdsong to go down to AAA Sacramento, build up as a starter, start throwing 50, 60, 70 pitches at a time once a week so that you can use him out of the rotation. Because what we saw last night, the curveball that he used to strike out a Mariners hitter was an absolute dandy. He throws 97, 98 with the fastball. The velocity is a tick up right now pitching out of the bullpen than it was out of the starting rotation just a season ago. And when he gets through 2 scoreless last night, Giants able to turn the game over to their closer, Ryan Walker, and they've had to use 2 different closers at the beginning of this season because they played so many tight ball games because they've been winning these ball games. But Camilo Doval, of course, has shut a few doors for the Giants. Ryan Walker, for the 3rd time this season, picks up a save against the Mariners in a 3-run ball game. And when you use just Birdsong and Ryan Walker, it means you can come into Sunday's game with Jordan Hicks slated to start, and all of a sudden, you've got Lou Trevino back and available for you. You've got Camilo Doval back and available for you. You've got, maybe a Randy Rodriguez or an Eric Miller. I know that Rodriguez threw an inning and 2/3 on Friday, so the Giants probably want to wait until Monday to use him. But say there's a situation where, Jordan Hicks comes out after getting 5 1/3 innings or 5 2/3 innings, and they just need someone to clean up a dirty inning. Randy Rodriguez could be that guy for this ball club today. It could be Lou Trevino as well, maybe even Spencer Bivens. But once again, there are options for Bob Melvin, and that's exactly what the Giants need right now. It's what they need to continue rolling along this hot streak, and it's what they need to give themselves a chance to sweep the Seattle Mariners. So when we come back, More from Giants manager Bob Melvin, some quotes from Matt Chapman off of last night's game, and Wilmer Flores as well. I am Kerry Crowley. The show is Giants Warm-Up. If you'd like to call in, chime in on what you've seen from the Giants for the first 8 games of this season, we would love to hear from you. 415-808-KNBR is the number. Your opportunity to contribute to the Giants pregame show this morning here on KNBR 104.5 680, the sports leader.
KNBR, the sports leader. It's almost time for hot dogs, peanuts, cold beers, and orange and black baseball. Our Giants warm-up rolls on the sports leader.
All right, we're back here on Giants Warm-Up. Kerry Crowley hanging out with you Sunday morning, getting you set for the series finale between your San Francisco Giants and the Seattle Mariners. Jordan Hicks takes the ball for the Giants. Bay Area native Brian Wu out of Alameda High going for the Mariners today. Brian Wu, of course, went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. Never pitched all that well there, but ultimately became a 6th-round draft pick of the Mariners and has morphed into a great young starter. So fun to watch. Grew up a Giants fan, and how about this? His favorite player as a kid, Brandon Crawford. So the Giants will be honoring Crawford later this month on, I believe it's Saturday, April 26th, out of the ballpark when Texas Rangers are in town. You'll have to check my math on the date. I know it's the Saturday game when Bruce Bochy's Rangers are in town, but very excited for that ball game. It's been an exciting week out at Oracle Park, a big week of action for the San Francisco Giants. They're 2-0 at home. They, of course, came back after Wednesday, sweeping the Houston Astros, and took care of business with a 10-9 thriller over the Seattle Mariners during the home opener. That was, of course, an instant classic and one that Giants fans will be talking about for years to come. And during that game, we had our home run of the week, sponsored by Pacific Catch, the Bay's favorite seafood destination. Raph, let's cue up that home run of the week.
The 1-1 pitch. Swing, and there's a high drive into deep left center field. Way back there, still going. Goodbye! Well up into the bleachers. Matt Chapman with his 2nd home run this year.
So there is your home run of the week. Matt Chapman cutting the Giants' deficit on Friday afternoon to just 1 run. They ultimately win that ball game 10-9 as Willy Adames delivers the go-ahead, game-winning, walk-off 2-run single against Vargas out of the Seattle bullpen. So the Giants win a 4-hour and 3-minute thriller. Last night's ball game a little faster as Robbie Ray took the mound for the Giants through 6 innings of 1-run ball, and they took it 4-1 over the Seattle Mariners to win their 3rd consecutive series to open the season. But I wanted to stay on Matt Chapman for a beat here because he, of course, drove in a couple of runs in last night's ball game with doubles, bringing home Jung Lee on each of those occasions. I was skeptical of the Giants' idea to have Lee hit in the 3 spot this year. I thought that Lee should have been at the top of the order. Instead, they're going with Lamont Wade Jr. at the top of the order against right-handed pitchers, Elliot Ramos at the top of the order against left-handed pitchers. And Matt Chapman spoke post-game last night. Raph, this is going to be cut K here about hitting behind Jung Lee and what it does for him in the center of the Giants' batting order as Matt Chapman, the cleanup man, and Lee has consistently hit 3rd against both righties and lefties. Here's what the Giants' Gold Glove third baseman had to say about that.
Super impressed. I think that I never had a doubt personally. I know how hard it could be to come back after missing a whole year. So it is impressive that he's been able to just be so consistent right away. But when you look at his swing and the way he works in the cage and what he does, it's just that his swing can handle big league pitching. That swing, he stays inside the ball. He's on time. He's got a short swing and has power. So, I think he's, it's really fun to hit behind him. He gets on base a lot, so I enjoy hitting behind him for sure. But yeah, everybody in this room believes in him and knows how good he is, and that swing is going to be successful for a long time.
Going to be successful for a long time and going to endear himself to Giants fans. I mentioned this earlier this week, but felt like it was only a slight adjustment needed for Jung Lee to bring that launch angle up and start hitting more line drives instead of ground balls. We saw a lot of ground balls through the first week of the season, but a couple of line drive doubles last night. Hit one over the first base bag past Donovan Solano, who was kind of hugging the line over there, former Giant, playing first base for the Mariners, and then the ball that bounced over the right center field wall last night for the ground rule double that almost certainly would have been a triple for Jung Lee had it stayed in the field of play. But 2 doubles last night, also singled, stole a bag, just an all-around force for the San Francisco Giants, and so fun to watch yesterday evening. Kind of a reintroduction to Giants fans after he missed so much of last season following the shoulder injury that he suffered at Oracle Park chasing after the fly ball last year at the beginning of the year. Played just, 30 games for the Giants before he was out for the season undergoing surgery, and a reintroduction last night showing Giants fans what he's capable of and why Farhan Zaidi was the one to give him the 6-year, $113 million contract coming over from South Korea. Jung Lee just 26 years old, and Giants fans hoping to see a lot more of him as he starts to to enter the prime of his baseball career. I am Kerry Crowley. The show is Giants Warm-Up. The phone lines are open. 415-808-KNBR is the number. You have thoughts on what you've seen from the first week of the season, please do dial in. Give us your thoughts. Let's go out to Scarecrow in Sacramento. Scarecrow in Sacramento. How you doing this afternoon?
Just hanging out in the parking lot here at Walmart. But anyway, I'm a little concerned about Tyler Fitzgerald. It looks like he may be having his sophomore slump.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if Casey Schmidt's not going to be able to break into the left side of that infield. Should he be starting at second base with Tyler Fitzgerald being your kind of jack of all trades? Because he can play some outfield, too.
Yeah. Well, they're going with Christian Koss today for the second time this week, as Koss started on Wednesday against the Houston Astros, or maybe it was Tuesday against the Houston Astros, but he got one start in Houston, and with Fitzgerald struggling right now, look, he's not making a lot of contact. The strikeout rate that you saw during spring training, still very high right now. I think the Giants want to give Koss a look before they give Casey Schmidt a look, and I think a lot of it has to do with they really liked Koss's at-bats down in Scottsdale during Cactus League play. This is someone who showed them a lot in the minor leagues last season, and I think that Giants front office evaluators thought that he was poised to take the next step in his career. So I think Koss is actually going to get the first crack. If they're not convinced that Fitzgerald can be the everyday guy, Scarecrow, they may go with Koss instead of Schmidt.
Yeah, but then again, you've got Schmidt, who really basically needs a ton of at-bats, which he's not getting right now. I would hate to see them give up on him quite so quickly. There is a potential there, but he needs at-bats, and he's not getting them.
Yeah.
And I don't think first base is where he needs to be.
I get what you're saying, but he's never going to get at-bats on the left side of the infield over at third base and shortstop. And look, if the Giants prefer Koss at the moment and they think he can give them more from an offensive standpoint, because we know how good Schmidt can be defensively at second base, I think that they're going to give Koss the preference right now. That, to me, seems like what Bob Melvin wants to do. And, Schmidt's learning first base. They haven't asked Koss to do that yet. I think that the ceiling might be higher with Schmidt, but the floor might be lower. And we've seen that floor. We've seen a lot of strikeouts. We've seen the temptation to hit outside the zone. What I like about Schmidt is I think that he can really mash left-handers. I think that he's shown an ability to do that in his career. We'll probably see him get more opportunities against lefties. But I think against righties right now, the Giants feel that Koss is their better option if they're not going to go with Fitzgerald.
Well, we'll see what happens. Kind of nice to have this type of conversation as opposed to raking Farhan over the coals.
It's a lot better to be talking about a team that's 7-1, and you're discussing, hey, who should be the ninth hitter in this order, as opposed to who should be the 3 and the 4 hitters, right?
Yeah, that's kind of nice. I mean, they're at this point are really entertaining, which is basically all a fan can really ask for.
Yeah, very well said. So thank you for the call, Scarecrow. I always appreciate your thoughts. Good stuff. 415-808-KNBR is the number. Would love to get more of you on here during our extended Giants pregame show. We got Giants warm-up for you every Saturday and Sunday here on KNBR. You can hear us about 3 hours prior to first pitch. On Sunday mornings, you'll hear Marty Lurie with Talking Baseball about 4 hours prior to first pitch. And then after each game on Saturdays and Sundays, you got the great Bill Laskey with his Extra Innings postgame show. And today he's got Jamie Moyer, 25 years in Major League Baseball. Of course, so many of those spent with the Seattle Mariners in that rotation. Jamie Moyer joining Extra Innings with Bill Laskey. And he's also got an interview with Giants first base coach Mark Hallberg coming up on the postgame show this afternoon. So very much looking forward to each of those conversations. And of course, you can always call in, give Bill your thoughts at 415-808-KNBR. So one more Matt Chapman quote that I wanted to play before we head to our next commercial break, and before we start to look at Jordan Hicks and tune you in for today's ball game. This is something that he said postgame last night. Raph, this is Cut L about what you're seeing from Jung Hoo Lee, Matt Chapman in the middle of the order, and kind of what you've seen from the Giants as a team right now, kind of the team chemistry that you've seen and how they're pulling out the best in each other. Here's the Giants third baseman making some comments after yet another Giants win.
That's why we've been able to win so many games so far. It's just because we've gotten a lot of guys to contribute, and I think the guys we have in this clubhouse, we have a lot of talent, but we believe in each other, and I think we're able to get the best out of each other and make the guys around us better. And I think everybody that comes in knows their role, and it's just been able to stay successful.
I think this is a really important point to understanding how the Giants are going to be successful in 2025. We all watched the first week of this season, and the Giants go on the road to Cincinnati and Houston. And what you saw from Wilmer Flores with 4 home runs in 6 games was incredible. It was unexpected. It was a feat that no one anticipated when Wilmer Flores was kept on this roster over the course of the offseason, was ultimately thrust into a bigger role following the injury of Gerard Encarnacion there at the end of spring training when he went down with the broken finger that he ultimately had surgery on that'll keep him out for the first 8 weeks of this season. Flores thrust into the spotlight, and he delivers. And it was also Elliot Ramos coming up big on that road trip. 6 extra base hits over the course of 6 games, 3 home runs. It was those 2 players carrying the lineup for the most part the first week of the regular season. But since the Giants have come home, you saw Adames have a very big game on Friday, of course, with a go-ahead hit, and then, of course, the walk-off hit to end the ball game. Didn't have the cleanest day defensively, but did make the leaping catch of Julio Rodriguez to rob him of a potential base hit. And you've really seen Jung Lee come into his own since coming back to Oracle Park. He looks comfortable. He looks confident. Matt Chapman with the home run on Friday, a couple of doubles in last night's ball game. The point of this is all to say, you're not always going to get Wilmer Flores and Elliot Ramos hot. You're not always going to get Jung Lee and Matt Chapman hot at the same time. But if you've got 2 or 3 players who are capable of putting an offense on their backs for a couple of games, a series here and there, ultimately, over the course of 162, you're going to win more often than you lose. And that's been the biggest challenge for the Giants over the last few seasons, is they don't have that one superstar player who can constantly stay hot, who can keep this lineup afloat. And it's why you've seen way too many scoreless or 1-run or 2-run outputs from this Giants offense in 23 and 24. And 25 so far this season, the Giants have had multiple players hot at any given moment over the course of any given game, and that is going to be key to their success over the course of the final 154 games now that they've got 8 down this season. When we come back, take a look at Jordan Hicks, today's starting pitcher, and why I think it's very important that Patrick Bailey be the one to lead the way for Hicks all season long, why Sam Huff will be paired with Robbie Ray, and why I think that's a good combination for the San Francisco Giants. We'll give you the lineups, we'll look around scores from Major League Baseball, and we will inch closer to our full Giants pregame show. First pitch coming your way at 1:05 this afternoon from Oracle Park. Jordan Hicks will throw it. Brian Wu on the mound for the Seattle Mariners. I'm Kerry Crowley. You're listening to Giants Warm-Up on KNBR, the sports leader.
KNBR, the sports leader.
Last of the 6, 2-1 Giants. And there's a swing, the drive into right center field, hit well. That one is way back there and up and over the wall on a bounce. Too bad. That's going to be a triple otherwise to that part of the yard. He'll have to go back to second. He was sprinting around second, focused on a triple, but he'll have to go back to second.
Now back to the show built for the orange and black family. This is Giants Warm-Up on KNBR, the sports leader.
We are back. Kerry Crowley hanging out with you Sunday morning, getting you set for Giants baseball. One of the many highlights that Jung Hoo Lee's contributed over the first week of the season, week plus now, as the Giants are 8 games in, a 7-1 record. The double, ground rule double over the center field wall last night. And as John Miller said, it would have been a triple. He was racing out of the batter's box, had a beat on it, and was thinking 3 all the way. Nevertheless, did score shortly thereafter as Matt Chapman roped a ball into the right field corner. Lee scoring for the second time on a Chapman double last night in the Giants' 4-1 win over the Seattle Mariners. Helped them to secure the series victory, which enables them to go for the sweep this afternoon with Jordan Hicks taking the ball, Brian Wu on the mound for the Seattle Mariners. We'll take a look at today's lineup. Here's how the Mariners will set things up. Dan Wilson, the manager for Seattle. He'll go with Victor Robles, the right fielder, former Nationals farmhand. He starts out there in the leadoff spot for the Mariners. 256 average, 601 OPS on the young season. It's the superstar slugger Julio Rodriguez in the number 2 spot in the lineup for Seattle. He's the center fielder. 219 average, 844 OPS. 2 homers on the year for Rodriguez so far, including a shot into right field off of Justin Verlander in Friday's ballgame. First inning blast, and he got all of it. Cal Raleigh, the catcher for the Seattle Mariners, coming off of the 9-figure extension that he signed last week. $105 million to remain as a franchise centerpiece for Seattle. The switch hitter hitting just 156, 539 OPS, but he can do damage from both the right and the left side of the plate and do damage in an instant for Seattle. Randy Arozarena, the cleanup man for Dan Wilson. Squad 2 homers on the young season, but hitting just 129 right now. 3 runs driven in as well for Arozarena. Luke Raley over at first base today. He gets the call, the left-handed hitting first baseman. Donovan Solano started there last night, but it's Raley over at first today. 211 average, 686 OPS on the year. Rowdy Tellez, the DH, another lefty in the lineup, Sacramento area native. Of course, Tellez, left-handed hitter, 083 average, 283 OPS, so really struggling in the early going, but he has power in the 6th slot in the order. Dylan Moore showed off his power last night. He'll hit 7 to play the hot corner over at third base today for Seattle. Took Robbie Ray deep out to center field last night to get the Mariners on the board, but that was the only run that Seattle would scratch across in 9 innings against Giants pitchers. Moore hitting 400 with a 1,300 OPS for the Mariners on the year. Ryan Bliss, young second baseman, good speed at the bottom half of this Seattle order. He'll bat in the 8th slot and play second base. 167 average, 453 OPS right now. Ryan Bliss, something to keep in mind. Last night against Robbie Ray, he showed bunt. Looked like he wanted to surprise Ray with a bunt with Matt Chapman playing back over at third base. Didn't ultimately make contact on the first pitch of that plate appearance, and then showed bunt again, which is interesting. You rarely see a guy try to surprise a team with bunts on back-to-back pitches, but Bliss unable to get one down. The Giants able to retire the Seattle Mariners for much of the evening, so his speed didn't come into effect. And J.P. Crawford, the shortstop for the Seattle Mariners as well. We'll give you the Giants lineup in just a few minutes here. 415-808-KNBR is the number. We do want to hear from you throughout the course of today's pregame show. Let's go out to Chris in San Jose. Chris in San Jose, you're on Giants Warm-Up. Chris, how's it going this morning?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great on our end. Looking forward to this afternoon's ball game. What's on your mind?
I just want to talk about Jordan Hicks. That last start, I mean, this guy's electric. I think his arm is one of the more phenomenal arms, in baseball.
Yeah.
And if this guy can keep throwing the ball the way that he does, I mean, he seems to be the key to their season. And his athleticism, but just the power that he generates. He's not a big guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be able to throw 101, 101 movement, he's just, his ability it's outstanding. It's very striking.
He really does have, Chris, the highest ceiling of any pitcher on the Giants. And I mean, no disrespect to Logan Webb, who is far more consistent, who's received Cy Young votes in each of the last 3 seasons, who is unequivocally the better pitcher for the Giants. He's the ace of the staff for a reason. But if you're looking at a player who has the nastiest stuff of any Giants pitcher, it's Jordan Hicks. Like, throwing 100 with movement and the sweeper that he throws as well. If he's at his best, he can be unhittable. It wouldn't shock me if Hicks keeps the pitch count down for a game or two this season. He's able to go like 6, 7, 8 no-hit innings against an opponent because the stuff is that good. The question is, how consistent can he be? Because we know when he loses the strike zone, oftentimes those misses are pretty big, you know?
No, I totally agree. I think, I think the sweeper that he's employed, it looks like he has more command of that and can place it, off the plate, to the right-hander, which, he just needs to just keep pumping 100-mile-an-hour sinkers, mix in that sweeper, and he could really dominate with just those 2 pitches.
Yeah, and he did the first time out against the Houston Astros, which I thought was really interesting. So, first time out against Houston, he goes 6 innings, just 72 pitches, gets a lot of ground balls, generates 6 strikeouts, but he threw the sinker 48 times, the sweeper 17 times, and then used the splitter just 3 times. Whereas last season, he was throwing the splitter about 20% of the time. So, it was a pitch that he relied on really heavily last year. 1 out of every 5 pitches was a splitter. He barely threw it against Houston. You're right. If he can throw the sinker at 100 and he can throw the sweeper and keep hitters off balance with that, there's no reason to go to the splitter unless you absolutely need to,
No, I totally agree. I think that you mix in that splitter as the season goes on. When you're pitching, sometimes if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
So obviously you want to have that 3-pitch mix, but his arm speed is just so phenomenal that really just keep pumping that fastball, that sinking fastball at 101, and then the sweeper. And I think his arm will be healthier. I think he'll be in top shape. He looks like he's already in top shape, but I really enjoy watching him pitch, and I totally agree with you. I think the ceiling on this guy, he might be one of the best acquisitions and one of the best developmental acquisitions that they've ever had.
Yeah, I mean, he could reach that potential. It's how many innings can he give them? Last year, it wasn't all that much. He kind of topped out in June. He'd thrown over 100 innings by the middle of the season, and the Giants were only able to get about 10 innings from him in July, August, and September. Spent some time on the injured list, was just worn out, and so, you mentioned it. He's in better physical shape. He gained 10 to 15 pounds this offseason because he wants to be more stable. He wants to be someone who goes out there every 5th day and can give the Giants more than what they got from him last season. Chris, I think the other component to Jordan Hicks, and I think that this is really important, he's someone who he throws the sinker so hard, and that pitch does have a little horizontal movement to it, that to me, it's really important that Patrick Bailey catches him every time out, because no disrespect to Sam Huff or any of the other backup catchers that the Giants will use this season, but Bailey's a Gold Glover for a reason. He can handle the 100-mile-per-hour velocity and frame those pitches up, whereas I think a lot of other catchers around Major League Baseball, they struggle to frame with that kind of velocity, and until the automatic ball strike system comes into play, and maybe as soon as 2026, the Giants are going to reap the rewards of having Patrick Bailey, because he presents those pitches. They're on the corners, on the black, as strikes, whereas other catchers, they might show them as balls.
No, I agree. Bailey is one of the best framers, in baseball, and he continues to steal strikes for all of those pitchers, but you're right. Hicks is his overwhelming velocity. I can't even imagine trying to catch that more with the movement and the velocity, and then trying to frame it, trying to steal strikes, into the zone or off the plate and bring those pitches back into the zone. You got to credit Bailey on that. But again, I can't stress enough how fun it is to watch Hicks when he is really on his game. I can't wait to get to the yard and see him up close and personal. I'm not going to be able to make it out there today, but I'm definitely going to, he's must-see TV when he's on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Thank you so much for the call, Chris. Appreciate your thoughts, and please do dial in throughout the course of this season. 415-808 KNBR is the number. First pitch coming your way at 1:05 this afternoon as Jordan Hicks will take the ball for the San Francisco Giants. Again, I think that there are questions about Hicks' consistency. There are questions about his command. How much, can he provide the Giants with stability over the course of 162? Is he going to take the ball 26, 27 times this season, or is it going to be more like 20 times this season before he hits that innings threshold and burns out that arm? Because last year we saw at the beginning of the year, he was actually dialing back the velocity. You saw a lot of 95s, 96s from Jordan Hicks at the beginning of last season when he started to make that transition from the Cardinals rotation for the last 7 years into the Cardinals bullpen for the last 7 years into the Giants rotation. He'd never thrown more than 80 innings in a single season, and by June of last year, he was over 100 for the San Francisco Giants. And the fact that he got to over 100 is a testament to how good he was. I was skeptical the Giants could get more than about 2 months out of Jordan Hicks, but he went 6 innings several times through the first half of last season because he's able to keep that pitch count pretty economical, and he did that against the Houston Astros as well. He's someone who generates a lot of ground balls, and that's huge at Oracle Park. You want the ball on the ground. You want the ball hit to Matt Chapman over at third base, Willie Adames at shortstop, and today Christian Koss over at second base, Lamont Wade Jr. at first. You don't want those outfielders covering that vast, expansive territory at Oracle Park, chasing after line drives, and I think that's going to be a key for Hicks, is keeping the ball on the ground, keeping the pitch count economical. And how much can the Giants get out of him from an innings perspective this season? Speaking of the San Francisco Giants, it's time to take a look at the lineup that Bob Melvin has put out for this ball club. Opposing Brian Wu, a great story for the Seattle Mariners. Alameda High product, grew up in Oakland and really rocketed his way through the Mariners farm system. His first time out against the Athletics up at T-Mobile Park, 6 innings of 1-run ball, 5 strikeouts as he picked up a victory for Seattle. This will be his second career start at Oracle Park. He grew up a Giants fan, grew up idolizing Brandon Crawford. How about that? A big Brandon Crawford fan. And Brian Wu, 26 years old, takes the mound for the Seattle Mariners today. Here's the lineup that will oppose him. It's Lamont Wade Jr. in the leadoff spot for the Giants. Wade, just a 148 average, did have 3 hits in Friday's ball game, a 579 OPS, so still looking for more consistency out of him to begin the season. Willie Adames in the 2 slot in the order, playing shortstop for the Giants today. 6 runs driven in. The Giants love to see that total through 8 games, but they want to see the average and the OPS come up right now. It's a 212 average, a 543 OPS, and of course they're counting on Willie Adames for much more than that this season. Jung Lee's been hot the last few games. He'll play center field and hit third, 321 average after 3 hits, including 2 doubles and a stolen base in last night's ball game, 887 OPS. The man pacing things right now for the Giants is their cleanup hitter, Matt Chapman, third baseman, Gold Glove Award winner, another sensational play to end last night's ball game with Ryan Walker on the mound. 2 home runs for Chapman on the year, including 1 in Friday's game. That was our home run of the week, 310 average, a 1.015 OPS. Elliot Ramos, the DH today for the Giants, so he's off of his feet a little bit, but they still want that bat in the lineup. Ramos, 3 home runs and 8 runs driven in, 2 stolen bases as well, a 314 average, 990 OPS. In the 6th slot in the order, it's Mike Yastrzemski today, who reached base 4 times in last night's ball game, had the RBI single where he got jammed, but muscled it out into right field, dropped a ball in front of Victor Robles to bring home Matt Chapman. Thought that was a very impressive swing up the bat. Also drew 3 walks last night against the Seattle Mariners, including a couple against Bryce Miller, 814 OPS for Yastrzemski early on today. Louis Matos will be in the outfielder. Matos getting the call in left field today. He'll hit 7th, 400 average, couple of multi-hit ball games in the games that Matos has started for the Giants this season. Homered earlier this week in Houston off of Framber Valdez, and he'll go today against Brian Wu, the hard-throwing right-hander, a 1.255 OPS for Matos. Patrick Bailey, the switch-hitting catcher, will bat 8th today, and of course, said it before, I'll say it again, very important that Bailey continues to catch Jordan Hicks this season. A 200 average, a 604 OPS. No hits, bigger for Bailey thus far than the game-tying swing that sent a single through the middle of the infield against Ian Jabot on opening day in the 9th inning with the Giants down to their final out against the Cincinnati Reds. And then with Tyler Fitzgerald getting a day off, he's really struggled at the plate. Christian Koss will man second base for the Giants. Koss, of course, walked and scored a run in his first Major League start against the Astros earlier this week. Today, his second Major League start, looking for his first MLB hit. The Giants hoping that he can achieve that feat today. When we come back, we'll give you more scores around Major League Baseball, looking around at the standings around the league as well. We'll get into our full pregame show as well. Always a treat on Sunday mornings. Love doing this. And you know what? We actually have one more phone call that I want to get to right now. I didn't see this on the board earlier, but I've looked up, saw it on the board. Let's get out to Matt in Pleasanton. Matt in Pleasanton, you're on Giants Warm Up. Matt, how's it going?
Good, Kerry. I want to talk about how I noticed the Giants' aggressive base running this year. Seems like they're going first to third a lot, second to home, just putting pressure on the defense, stealing bases, and it makes the offense more dynamic, and it makes the game more exciting.
Yeah, certainly more fun to watch, and I think you saw this last night. How about Jung Lee after doubling in the fourth inning, first hit of the ball game? He steals third base right away off of Bryce Miller. Not the typical stolen base situation, but as soon as Miller peeked back from second to home, Jung Lee was taken off, and that puts pressure on the opponents.
Yeah, for sure. And then even on opening day, Fitzgerald going through that stop sign put pressure on the right fielder, and he double clutched that ball and snuck in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Victor Robles, who's got a great arm out in right field. He was playing, it looked like 20 steps behind second base. I mean, he was so close to the infield there. And Fitzgerald was just saying, you know what, this is our opportunity to go win that ball game. And the Giants have won. They've won 7 of their first 8 games because of situations like that. I think that you're right on there, Matt.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch, and the last couple of seasons they haven't been running as much, so it's exciting to watch, and I like the roster they have. It seems like they can do that a lot more this year.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you for the call, Matt. Appreciate that. And a good note on the roster. The Giants, through 8 games, they'll play their 9th ball game today, have yet to make a roster move. So, of course, that requires health. It requires good pitching out of the bullpen. It requires making sure that your starters are getting deep enough into ball games that no one's overtaxed in the bullpen. You don't have to option guys to AAA Sacramento, bring a new pitcher up for a ball game, and they needed 6 innings from Robbie Ray last night. They got 6 innings from Robbie Ray last night. If you listen to Diamond Notes yesterday, our award-winning Diamond Notes, one of the reasons we've won those awards is because our keys to the game were 6 innings from Robbie Ray and good, strong relief appearance from Hayden Birdsong, and Birdsong did deliver with 2 frames before Ryan Walker came in and shut the door. More coming up next on the other side. Giants warm-up continues. I'm Kerry Crowley on KNBR, the sports leader.
KNBR, the sports leader. Giants fans, first pitch isn't too far away as KNBR's Giants warm-up continues on the sports leader.
We are back. Kerry Crowley hanging out with you, getting you set for Giants baseball. First pitch, 1:05 this afternoon from Oracle Park. Back-to-back sellouts at Oracle Park, the last two games for the Giants. Friday's home opener, they win 10-9 in 11 innings. Willie Adames, the walk-off hero. And on Saturday night, Robbie Ray pitches the Giants to a victory. Jung Lee, Matt Chapman, the offensive stars for this ball club. Mike Yastrzemski reaches base 4 times, ultimately has an RBI single and 3 walks as well. Time to take a spin around our out-of-town scoreboard. Look around what's going on around Major League Baseball. Early Sunday scores, especially a lot of action on the East Coast right now. The Washington Nationals ahead 4-2 over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Top of the 5th inning there, Trevor Williams on the hill for Washington in that ball game. Team split the first 2 games of the series. The Nationals an opportunity to knock out the D-backs, the Giants' National League West foe. Another NL West foe losing on the East Coast right now. The Philadelphia Phillies have gone ahead of the Los Angeles Dodgers 6-3. Let's bring it up to speed on this game today because it's just the bottom of the 4th inning. But before today's ball game, Blake Snell, Dodgers announced he goes on the 15-day injured list with left shoulder inflammation. Not what you want to hear after you sign a guy to a 5-year, $194 million contract. But Snell, once again, you know that he spent a lot of the first half of last season on the IL with the Giants. He goes on the IL for the Dodgers today. Tyler Glasnow making the start, one of their best pitchers. He ultimately just loses it in the 3rd inning. Walks 5 guys today for the Dodgers. Dave Roberts has to pull him early. Alex Vesia comes on, and Nick Castellanos hits a go-ahead grand slam for the Philadelphia Phillies. So they're up 6-3. Teoscar Hernandez has got them back in the ballgame in terms of Los Angeles with a home run for the Dodgers. So could be a high-scoring affair out at Citizens Bank Park before it's all said and done. Bottom of the 5th inning at PNC Park in Pittsburgh, where the Pirates are off to a 4-1 lead over the New York Yankees. Yankees sitting at 6-2 right now. Giants will be in the Bronx next weekend. Can't wait for that series. It kicks off what should be a really difficult 9-game road trip for the Giants. They play 3 in New York. Actually, it's a 10-game road trip. They play 3 in New York, 4 in Philadelphia against the Phillies, and then they finish up with 3 games on the West Coast down in Anaheim against the Angels. So that's a really tough stretch for the Giants, going East Coast, and then West Coast with that series. End of the 4th inning in the first game of a doubleheader today between the Red Sox and the Cardinals. It's 1-1 in that ball game. Nolan Arenado due up in the top of the 5th there in Boston. Top of the 6th inning in Detroit, where the Chicago White Sox lead the Tigers 3-1 right now. Jackson Jobe, the young Tigers right-handed prospect, he made the start for Detroit. Gave up 2 runs early. The White Sox, they've received some good pitching today. Wasn't quite sure who was on the mound in that ball game, but maybe we'll circle back and take another spin through that one. The New York Mets lead 2-1 over the Toronto Blue Jays right now. Top of the 5th inning, although the Blue Jays are threatening. There's 2 outs, bases loaded in that ball game. Matt Kranick on the hill for the Mets, trying to prevent further damage for Toronto. Bottom of the 3rd inning out at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, where the Royals are out to a 4-0 start over the Baltimore Orioles. Bobby Witt Jr. off to a hot start in that ball game. Royal superstar who could be an American League MVP candidate before it's all said and done if Aaron Judge ever cools down for the New York Yankees. Milwaukee Brewers ahead of the Cincinnati Reds 2-0 right now. End of the third inning in Milwaukee. The Reds will be in town tomorrow evening for a 3-game series that starts against the San Francisco Giants. They're sitting at 3-6 right now after the Giants took 2 of 3 from them to open the season at Great American Ballpark. And then they'll play 3 games at Oracle Park, and then the Giants won't see the Reds all year long. They'll see the Dodgers for the first time in the month of June, but they'll already be done with their NL Central foe, the Cincinnati Reds. A couple more scores from around Major League Baseball from games in progress at the moment. Minnesota Twins, who won yesterday over the Houston Astros, they're out to a 4-1 lead. Bottom of the second inning, the Twins threatening yet again. Bases are loaded. 2 outs in that one with Luis Contreras on the mound. Willie Castro at the plate for Minnesota. Bottom of the first inning at Wrigley Field, where it's already messy at Wrigley Field. No surprise. Bases are loaded for the Chicago Cubs right now. They're threatening. The Padres have already had to pull their starting pitcher from this one. Bases loaded, 2 outs. It's 3-3 in that game, so could be a high-scoring affair at Wrigley Field. And then bottom of the second inning at Globe Life Field in Arlington right now, where the Rangers and the Rays are still scoreless. Drew Rasmussen on the mound for Tampa. Jock Peterson at the plate for Bruce Bochy's Texas Rangers. How about that for some San Francisco Giants Mad Libs? Jock Peterson and Bruce Bochy. If the Rangers get a lead, you have to imagine that Luke Jackson would be on to close out that ball game. And then 4 other games to tell you about this afternoon, games that are either not started or games that won't be played. The Rockies play host to the Athletics this afternoon. Chase Dollander, former number 9 overall pick from the Rockies at the University of Tennessee, the prospect making his Major League debut this afternoon at Coors Field. Estes goes for the Athletics. The Angels and the Guardians will meet this afternoon. Tyler Anderson, former Giant, against Ortiz for the Guardians. And then after the Red Sox and the Cardinals wrap up their first game today, second end of a doubleheader, the Red Sox and Cardinals were rained out yesterday, so they'll play once again this evening at Fenway Park. One postponement to tell you about: the Atlanta Braves and the Miami Marlins. That game has been postponed due to weather down in Atlanta. The Braves sitting at 1-8 right now. The Miami Marlins at 5-4 on the season. So coming your way shortly, it's Robbie Ray through last night. It's Jordan Hicks against Brian Wu for the Seattle Mariners. Brian Wu out of Alameda High. Good Bay Area kid. Grew up a San Francisco Giants fan, but trying to beat the Giants today. Giants have already won this series. They're trying to sweep the Seattle Mariners and Dan Wilson's squad. So a lot to tell you about, and stay tuned for our post-game coverage this afternoon as well. Bill Laskey has extra innings for you. Interviews with longtime veteran MLB pitcher Jamie Moyer, the crafty left-hander, and Giants first base coach Mark Hallberg as well. Our full Giants pregame show coming your way shortly. Extended Giants warm-up is over. I am Kerry Crowley. You're listening to KNBR 104.5 680, the sports leader.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader. KNBR, the sports leader.